This 4 hours long MCP masterclass will teach you everything that you need to know from scratch, including problems solved by MCP servers, MCP layers and MCP types, STDIO versus streamable HTTP MCPs, creating your own MCP server from scratch, integrating MCP servers in the code, MCP inspectors for debugging, UVX and NPX based MCP servers, third-party MCP service providers. And not just this, you will literally build a MCP hub to host multiple MCP servers so that you can easily communicate with that. And the best part, you will learn how to deploy your MCP servers to production so that anyone can use it. And my favorite, you will learn all of the complex concepts with ease because I will be explaining everything using amazing hand-drawn doodles with hands-on labs where you will write a lot of code, and the entire course is structured in the form of chapters so that you can grow step by step. And yes, all of the notes and code examples are provided with this video. In short, you will start this masterclass as a beginner and you will become a pro by end of this video, and I am serious. It takes a lot of efforts and hours to create these complete end-to-end masterclasses and providing it for free. So if you want to support this channel, simply hit the subscribe button right now and let's get started with this amazing MCP masterclass. So what's up my AI data fam, happy Sunday. And finally MCP masterclass, model context protocol masterclass is here after getting so many requests. Because see, I know the importance of MCP and I know why you were just asking for MCP, because it is really important for developers, very important, because you need to learn how to integrate MCPs directly into your code. And you also need to know how to build MCP servers, how to deploy MCP servers, how to just make it production ready. So everything needs to be covered, right? So that is why this masterclass is here finally. So now you do not need to worry at all because this masterclass has covered everything. And first thing first, I directly want to talk about the prerequisites. I have already talked about this in the intro that you do not need like AI knowledge at all. You just need basic Python programming knowledge and it will be more than enough, because MCP is itself like a kind of new concept. So you do not need any kind of prior knowledge. Do not need to worry. If you know how to write functions in Python, you are good to go. Okay. And if you have some AI knowledge, then obviously it will be better. Okay. Now let's talk about the agenda, the detailed agenda, that what exactly we are going to cover in this masterclass, so that you will have all of the clarity for this masterclass. So in this masterclass, first thing first, as I said that I will be just teaching everything from scratch. So first of all, I will just tell you about what is MCP and why do we need to use MCP, because MCP just came like last year. So things were already working before MCP as well. So why do we need to integrate MCP and what is the advantage of it? Then we will be just talking about MCP layers, which is very important, and then MCP types. These three chapters are purely based on the fundamentals and will build your strong foundation around MCP, which is very important for you. Then we'll be just talking about STDIO transport layer of MCP, which is standard input output. Then we'll be just talking about streamable HTTP MCP servers, which are more new and they are the recommended approach from now onwards. Then you will build your own MCP server and both the types, STDIO and streamable HTTP, both. Then you will learn how to integrate MCP servers within your code. Then you will learn how to fetch the hosted MCP servers and UVX and NPX, which is the heart of MCPs right now, because we are using MCP servers from the community. So you need to know how to integrate those UVX and NPX models, which are built by the community. Simple. Then you will learn MCP Inspector, which is very good for debugging and just connecting your local MCP servers and hosted MCP servers, and it will just provide you a better UI. And then you will finally learn how to deploy your MCP server to PyPI, which is Python packages index, where you can just literally make your MCP servers available. Okay. Then you can also explore about how to deploy MCP servers on Docker, because when you just want to make it to the production, then obviously you just need to deploy on Docker so that you can just run it on any application using cloud, any services like render, so that you can actually make it available. So you will learn deployment in detail. Yes, this is like a very detailed section. Then you will learn about a new concept, MCP Gateway, and here you will learn how you can just create a hub kind of hub and kind of gateway, so that you can just connect multiple MCP servers and you will just have one gateway. This is a very fun section, and then much more, because I have literally covered so much, literally covered everything about MCP servers that you need to know. And this will be a very detailed masterclass with hands-on, obviously, because you will be just doing a lot of coding in this particular masterclass. Simple. This is the agenda, and I hope that even if you have some knowledge in MCP, I am so sure that you will learn a lot of things. Trust me. And if you do not know anything, then obviously this is a gold. This is pure gold for you. Okay. Now let me just quickly congratulate my AI data fam who have literally recently cracked their dream offers. So please congratulate them with me. So say a long congratulations, and I will just simply go to different slides. So congratulations to all of these people who have recently cracked the offers, and I literally feel happy whenever I just celebrate with them. So it's really good. So very congratulations. And yes, so this is me, and let's get started with our masterclass on MCP. Simple. Let's do it. So now, first of all, I want to ask a very simple question. What was the scene before MCP? And do you know why this question is so important? Because this MCP is relatively very new. Yes, very new. But how things were working before MCP, you need to understand this thing, and then you will understand the pain points, and then you will understand the role of MCP and why today MCP is such a big deal. Okay, so first of all, let's say before MCP. Simple. And I think MCP is just introduced, and I think MCP is introduced by none other than your favorite Claude Anthropic. So yeah, it was started with that particular you can say solution that Anthropic built, and then they just renamed it as like MCP, and then obviously it was widely adapted, and that's why you are also learning it right now. Simple. So let's say what exactly the scenario was before MCP. Okay, let's see. So first of all, let's say you are a developer, and you were required to integrate obviously services. It can be API, it can in most of the cases it was like API, even if you're just using a product. So let's say you are a developer. Let's pull you, and let's say your name is Rahul, or let's say this developer's name is Rahul, and this developer is actually using services. It can be a database, hosted database somewhere, let's say Postgre. Okay, hosted one, which can be let's say a kind of any database that you are using, and it can be let's say a kind of API or any search API, I would say, that you can just use. It can be literally anything. Okay, it can be anything. So you can just imagine like database, or it can be like data lake, any service provider. Okay, simple. Now let's say you are using this particular thing. Oh, let's take the example of Oracle, because Oracle is a very popular you can say database that we use with APIs. Yes, let's use this one, Oracle. So let's say you were using Oracle, and you were using their built-in API routes, because obviously whenever you just want to talk to any Oracle database, not in all scenarios, but in most of the scenarios, you will talk via API. Simple. You talk via API. Perfect. So if you are a developer, most probably you would be using Python. Why Python? Because we in the data domain love Python. Python is our favorite language, so we use Python. So let's say you are using Python, and by the way, you can use any programming language. We are taking the example of a Python. Okay, Python example. Very good. Now this can be any client, but let's take the example of Python. Okay, so let's say you are this developer, and you are building some solution using this particular Oracle database, and you want to utilize all the endpoints that are available with this database. Let's say there is an endpoint, API endpoints. Okay, API endpoints, and you are, let's say, fetching the data. Let's say create. Okay, let's say there's a endpoint called create, or let's say there's a v1. Usually they just keep writing this thing v1 something, or let's say Oracle. Okay, Oracle v1 create, and then they have one endpoint, let's say Oracle v1 query. Okay, and then they have Oracle v1, and then they will have, let's say, a kind of delete or anything. Okay, let's say update. So these are some of the endpoints which are connected with this particular database. Makes sense. So that whenever you want to just talk to this database, you will be calling these APIs. Makes sense. Okay. So you are actually calling these APIs in order to talk to this database. So let's keep this API in front, and this is the database. Perfect. This is our scenario. Now what will happen? You are just creating a client and you are a programmer. So obviously you can just write code and you can directly build the logic to fetch the data. So this will be your own logic. It can be obviously a Python function where you are creating a client first of all with token, JWT, user ID, password, basic authentication, whatever authentication type you are picking. So you will write a function, right? So you will create your own logic to connect to this particular database, basically API, and then only you will be able to fetch this particular data. Is this clear? Perfect. Now, this is fine for this particular database. It's fine. So this was the way that we were using before MCP. And first of all, MCP is relatively new. I'm repeating this thing. So this is a solution which is widely adapted now and being adapted now. But yes, in most of the organization, we also use the functions as well. So do not just shout, hey, we still use this thing. Why can you just say, how can you just say that this is replaced? No. But in near future, MCP will be the standard because this is the standard right now as well. So you were writing your own logic to connect to these APIs. That is fine. That was working absolutely fine because this is a source of truth. These APIs will be there. These APIs, yes, will be there. You cannot touch this API. You cannot just say, hey, just remove these APIs. No, APIs are still there. But now the problem is, let's say this Oracle service provider, change this API. Let's say they just change this V1 to V2. Oh, this is code breaking thing, right? Yes, for sure. Very good. Pain point number one. This is just one. Keep on just noting it out because we just need to just write everything. Okay. So pain point, let me just write it here. API URL change. And it is a very common thing. Let me just tell you, very common thing. Okay, in every 1 to 2 to 3 years they will just change the API version. I'm so sure, and this is like very common with every service provider. So this is one thing. Okay, so let's say V2, this is like one pain point, and let me just mark it as well. So this is the first thing that we have just discussed. Okay, cool. So this is first thing. Now forget about API URLs. Let's say, okay, we will just handle this thing. We will just create a variable for this. And every time, okay, we will hire someone and that person will keep on looking at this particular URL on a daily basis. And the person will change this thing. Okay, we can handle that. But now just tell me one thing. Whatever thing which is written inside the create, like the response, the form of response that I'm getting from this create API, basically create API URL, can also change. The inner working of this API can also change. Makes sense. And I have to modify my logic accordingly. Simple. Because first of all, this API, okay, and then obviously whenever you build any API, if you know how to build an API, you know that API is what? API is just, you can say, a kind of URI for your function that you have just written in your application, right? So you can just change the code as well for that application. And if you change the code written within, you can say, your API, then obviously you might need to update this logic as well. Why? Because you do not know what is changed, then you will just go through the documentation and then you will just make your response accordingly. Simple. Okay, this is another pain. So I can say that API logic change. Okay, and now the main thing, okay, because this API logic change, I would still assume that it is not a big deal. To some extent it is not a big deal because yes, usually all of the application service providers, they handle this response very nicely because they do not change the metadata very often, but still I will just count it as a lag. But this is not a very big deal. Okay, the biggest big deal is this one. Let's say you are using this particular service. Okay, but in the real world, I will not be just using this Oracle API. I might be using, let's say, one more service this time, and this time let's say I am picking Azure. Do I have Azure logo? No. Let's yeah, let's pick this one. Okay, let's pick this one. This is for Azure. So let's say, no, this is not Azure. Let me just pick Azure. I think I had one for Azure. No. Okay, no worries. Let's pick this one. This is like Synapse Analytics service that we use a lot, data engineers. So, okay, let's say you are using this service. This is a kind of, you can say, if you do not know about this thing, don't worry. This is a kind of Azure service. This is a kind of end-to-end analytics platform where we build pipelines, where we just transform our data, and we use a lot of service within API. So whenever we want to, let's say, write our own custom automation script, we use a lot of APIs which are provided by Synapse Analytics, similar to Oracle database. Okay, just a quick intro to Synapse. Very good. So similarly, I can use this Synapse as well, create, query, update, because this is a kind of data warehouse. Simple. So now just tell me one thing. I will obviously write my logic for this one. That is for sure. Yes, that is for sure. But this time, do you know what? What is that particular thing which is even more messy? I need to write my logic, obviously, but this time I also need to write the logic to connect to this database. Obviously, so I need to create a different connection with this Oracle database, which will be totally different from this Synapse Analytics. Makes sense? Makes sense. So this time I have one more pain that I have to create this entire logic again. Okay. And in this logic, I have to write the connection details as well. Okay. Different connection code for each service. Makes sense? And this is a very basic thing. We always create a connection, client connection to these API servers. Simple. So every time I'm adding a new service, I have to first of all write a totally different code to connect to these services. This is a big pain, especially in the agentic era. Why? Because whenever we are building agentic workflows, we need to integrate almost I would say at least 50 or maybe even hundreds of tools to our AI agent. So let's say not even 100, at least 50, 20. So who will be just monitoring these changes? Who will just keep on going to the documentation and fetching the updated details? We cannot handle that. Or the teams who are building agents cannot handle that. Teams who are building agentic workflows cannot handle that, because their operations cost will be very, very high, and these things will not be very compatible with those who do not know how to change the code, because obviously AI is for everyone. So then we were introduced with a concept called MCP. Yes, let's talk about MCP now. You have got the taste why we are just suffering in this particular mess. Okay, now let's see the solution. And solution is very simple. MCP is the solution, which is also called as model context protocol. First of all, very scary name, but it's very simple. Forget about this MCP. Let me just introduce you with the solution before talking about MCP. Okay, forget about this model context protocol. I don't know what is this thing. Forget about this. So let's say I have the similar scenario. I have these two services. Very good. Okay, and we have the same Rahul, because we love Rahul and Rahul is a great developer. So let's call him again. Bro, we need you. So now this Rahul wants to build the solution, right? We are not replacing him because he's AI proof. He's our favorite developer. So let's say now what will happen? I will say, is there any way that I can connect to, okay, because we need to just talk about all of the pain points that we just face whenever we just talk about these particular changes, and there are more things as well, but let's talk about these top three. Is there any way that if this organization changes any URL, they will handle that, not me? They will handle that. How? You will say they will not change their URL. That is not possible. They will change their URL. They will change their versions of the API. That is not possible. But is it possible that they will handle those changes? Okay, they will not call you, hey bro, this URL is changed, can you please update your code? Obviously this will not happen. So how we can just take care of this thing? Let me just tell you. So now what will happen? This is their API. This is source of truth. They will not change this thing. but they will now introduce one, or let's talk about first of all one service, then we can just replicate the same. So what will happen this time? Now this Oracle will build a special thing here in front of their API. Okay. And this is called, yes, MCP Server. Okay. Now they will build a kind of protection wall, and this wall is called MCP Server. Okay. What is a server? See, server is what? A kind of machine which is running application. Simple. Okay. So this is MCP Server they have built. So what they have done in this MCP Server? Let me just tell you. They have literally created functions for you. So let's say this is the first function. Okay. For create. Second function for query. Third function for update. Fourth function for delete. Fifth function for insert, whatever. So they have created these functions for each API. Okay. Are you getting a point? See, let's say this is the function which is mapped with this API. This function is, let's say, mapped with this API. This function is, let's say, mapped with this API. Oh, so they have created these MCP functions. Okay. Now what will happen? Now I can literally connect to this MCP directly. Oh, I can connect to this MCP directly. Now I do not need to write my logic to connect to this API, which is Oracle database, not at all. And because I am not writing any logic, I do not need to worry about the API URL. Yes, I do not need to worry about any kind of API logic change, any metadata, because this function will handle that. So let me just write function. Okay. Just a Python function, bro. Nothing fancy. This is also called like wrapper function, which does what? The same thing that you were doing. Just tell me one thing. This on logic is what? You were building a Python function, a wrapper on top of this API, right? You were just creating a connection. You were calling the API. You were getting the response back. But here, these functions are created by the service providers. And what these functions will do? Nothing special. They will simply point these functions to these APIs. They will simply say, hey, just call this API, get the response and deliver the response back to my Rahul. Simple. Oh, so now because I do not need to worry about this API change, they can change the API and they will change the function logic within the MCP server. I do not need to worry about any change. I will literally connect to this MCP easily. Wow. Same way my Synapse will do. Obviously, this Synapse Analytics will do this thing for me. Okay. Simple. Makes sense. So they will have their own function on MCP server. Let's say like this. Okay. And now you can just connect to this MCP same way. Oh, okay. Now just tell me one thing. Is this problem solved? Both the above two problems are solved. But what about different connection? Ansh, Lamba, do you know what? Yes, they have MCP server. Yes, we do not need to worry about URLs. Yes, we do not need to worry about any changes, any code break changes. But Ansh, Lamba, we are still using two different MCP servers. If you see 1, 2, so obviously the connection will be different for both. Fair point. Very fair point. But do you know what? That is the real power or biggest power of MCP. What? See, now you do not need to connect to this MCP differently than this MCP. What do you mean? So let me just unpack the real power. So I will not directly connect to this MCP like this. Okay. So there is a configuration. Configuration means a kind of property that we just set in the form of JSON. Okay. So I will create a JSON file, or I can just create a JSON object. Okay. And in this JSON object, I can say that I want to connect to this MCP. What is the name of this MCP? Let's say Oracle Database MCP. This is the name of this MCP. Put the name of this MCP. That's it. This will automatically connect my MCP to this one. What? Yes. Let's say now I want to connect my client to this MCP. What is the name of this MCP? Synapse MCP database. Okay. Just write the name and done. What? Yes, you literally create this particular JSON. Wow, literally wow. This JSON is also called as USB-C port. Why? Why? Let me tell you. Let's say you are using your laptop or you are using your personal computer. Perfect. You have keyboard, obviously. You have mouse, obviously. What obviously? Do you get these things like automatically? If you're using laptop, obviously you will get it. But let's say you are just using a personal computer. You will not get it. You will connect it. How will you connect it? How will you connect it? You will attach a cable. And what is the port of that cable? USB-C. Okay, perfect. Now let's think about it. If USB-C port was not there, and let's say every device would have their own cable to insert. For example, let's say if you want to insert a mouse, there would be a different cable. Now these people are shouting, hey, we are using wireless mouse. Bro, you still need to connect that particular plugin, okay? So let's say you just need to connect mouse. You would be using different cable if USB-C didn't exist. If let's say you want to connect, let's say webcam, they have a special, let's say square type cable. Then you just need to insert that. Let's say you want to connect, what do you want to connect? Let's say you want to connect headsets. There would be a different cable. So if that would be the scenario, and this was a scenario by the way, before USB-C, if this was a scenario, obviously our computer creator would be mad just to create different cable types. Your computer, your laptop would be full of holes, obviously. But then a smart man came into the picture. He said, or let's say a smart woman came into the picture and she said, hey, what are you doing? You want to connect keyboard? Okay. You want to connect mouse? Okay. You want to connect webcam? Okay. Let's use a standard USB-C port and let's just create only one type of hole in the laptop or machine and let users insert whatever they want. This is the same concept. This is a USB-C port for your MCP server. If let's say I want to integrate this particular MCP, this particular API, set of APIs, I do not need to write a different connection logic. I will just use USB-C port. I will plug in simple. And I will just plug in the same or basically different MCP, but with same configuration. Simple. This is MCP. This is MCP. This is the concept of MCP. Now, obviously, in your system, in your laptop, in your computer, you would have just 2 to 3 USB-C ports. But here in our coding, we can just plug in unlimited objects using USB-C port. Okay. And I think if you would have explored the world, okay, you would also got to know about a kind of, you can say, connector where you insert only one USB-C port and you get multiple, you can say, holes, and you get a like multiple options to insert it. So it is a kind of it's called like something extension something. Yeah, I think wire extension. So it is also kind of hack that you can just use for your laptop. But here we do not need to do anything like that because we can just insert n numbers of USB-C ports. We have a lot of holes, okay, in our Python client. I hope it makes sense. What is exactly an MCP? Now, these MCP servers are maintained and built by these service providers. You do not need to create these things, but you still need to create some. Why? Because when we just work in the real world, we customize MCP a lot. And in some cases, or I would say in many cases, organizations build their own MCP servers as well so that entire organization can use it. Wow. Yes. Because obviously Oracle would have their MCP, Synapse would will have their MCP. That is fine. That is fine for our development. Yes. But sometimes when we are building the solution for the entire enterprise, which is a very common thing right now in the AI era, then we build the MCP server for the entire organization so that they can use it internally and they can just take leverage of it. So this is called self-hosted MCP. We are building it. So it is equally important, first of all, learn how to use these MCPs. Second, how to build your own MCPs. And third, the most important, how to deploy MCP servers. And yes, we will be talking about everything here. But first, I wanted you to have a very strong, crystal clear understanding what is MCP. Because do you know what? And let me just share my experience as well. I am being transparent with you. Okay, when I was learning MCP, I was literally confused at this point that why do we need MCP when I have these custom logics, I can just make API calls. Why? But then I got to know this thing. Oh, okay, this is the pain point. This is the pain point. And it is not a replaceable thing. It is actually a thing which is improving your proficiency, your efficiency. Because you can still write this code. No one is stopping you. No one can stop you because these APIs will not go anywhere. These APIs will stay there because this is the source of truth. But instead of just writing different logic every time, you can integrate MCP. This is the entire concept of MCP. And do you know what? This JSON is everything. You literally need to tell the name of name of the MCP server, and obviously with the configuration that they provide, like URL, that's it. It is just like 1 to 2 to 3 lines of code, and that is it. And I think if you are learning this MCP masterclass, obviously that you would have seen MCP configuration somewhere, but now you will master it. Okay. So this is your MCP, understanding of MCP. I wanted your fundamental to be very strong. First of all, like what is MCP? Because then only I can just tell you that components of MCP and what are the types of MCP, and then how to just create an MCP. First, you need to understand why MCP, why is very important. Okay, so I hope now you have a very good understanding. Very good, bro. Rahul, thank you so much. Okay, so now let's see the official documentation of MCP. Let's see what do we have there, and then I can just start with obviously the next sections, and then we are good, because I want to just refer to the documentation sideways so that you will also have the source of truth along with you. Okay, because obviously I'm not the expert. Okay, I am not the person who knows everything. I can also make mistakes. Okay, I am also learning with you, but I just want you to know what I know, and then you can obviously improve me as well. You can just help me as well. That is fine. And that is the backbone of building the community, and that's it. I'm not just portraying myself as an expert, not at all. I'm still a learner. I do not know anything, bro, as compared to. So let's say let's go to MCP documentation, and they have actually maintained a very good documentation, and this MCP is built by Anthropic, so good job. So let's see, this is the, I think, official documentation. Yeah, model context protocol.io. You can also go there. Simple. Okay, perfect. And obviously you can just pick your theme. I will pick dark theme. Very good. So this documentation, again, I'm repeating, very good documentation. You should also go there just to read something. Okay. And first of all, they will just tell like what is MCP. MCP is an open source standard for connecting AI applications to external systems. Using MCP, AI applications like Claude, ChatGPT can connect to data sources, local file databases, blah, 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 blah. So let me just expand this. This is the main thing. So this is the MCP standard protocol, and these are all of your services. So we took example of PostgreSQL or databases. It can be GitHub or anything. It can be Google Maps, any service provider basically. Simple. And these are the clients. We will just talk about client. Do not worry. I'm just simply giving you a very high level overview. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. So now it is saying what can MCP enable? Agent can access your Google Calendar, Notion, acting as a more personalized AI assistant. Claude Code can generate an entire web. They are just promoting Claude Code, so we do not need to promote. Simple. So why does MCP matter? Very good. This is good. Developing on where you sit in the ecosystem, MCP can have a range of benefits. Developers, the main thing, because we support developers. MCP reduces development time and complexity when building or integrated with an AI application agent. The same thing that I just discussed with you. Okay. And then obviously AI application and agent. MCP provides access to an ecosystem of data sources, tools, apps, and everything. Okay. Good. Then end users, MCP results in more capable. Okay, let me just tell you one more thing. I think it is obvious, but still I want to express one more pain point, because when I just saw developers word, I was like, bro, let me just tell one more thing. So whenever you are building anything, when you are developing anything, you would also see one pain point after even building the client. Even after building the client, you can still see some of the changes in the function names. If you have ever built any kind of client, you would see that earlier we were just using a different function name. Let's say the function name was get data, but then they just changed to fetch data. So they changed the function name as well. Make sense? So here I can literally write changing the function name, changing function names. So now, why did I mention this thing? Because I want to tell you something more. So now here, let's say all of these functions that we have, like they have written, it's fine. So now earlier when we were writing our function, or even they were having some functions before as well, when we were connecting to these functions, let's say function 1, function 2, function 3, when we were just connecting to these functions but not with MCP, just using directly the function API call, then if this function name is changed to, let's say, function 1 or function 2, then also we were just facing the issues. Okay, because the function was updated, function was pointing to this particular API, that is fine, but this function was actually breaking our code because of a new name. But this time, do you know what? MCP also handles the renaming or the update of these functions. Now MCP will automatically update these functions. What do I mean? You will understand this point later on. I know this thing, but still I want to highlight this thing. For example, let's try to explain you. Let's imagine that you will understand it. Because let's say you are just connecting your application with these MCPs. Simple. Earlier, when you connected your application with this MCP, you got 3 functions: create, update, query. Simple. You handed over these functions to your agent. Perfect. Now this time, the functions are renamed. Functions names are create, update data, and query. This time, because this function is automatically changed, your application will automatically get the updated names. You do not need to change anything, because you simply get the function names out of MCP, and that's it. That's it. You will understand this point when I'll be just building the client. I will just show you. I will demonstrate this point in detail. Do not worry. Okay. So this is, I think, everything we need to see from this documentation. Okay. Because we should just talk about our own notes better than this. So let me just click on architecture, because now I want to talk about MCP architecture, and there are basically 3 major components of MCP. Okay, so let's see if they have just mentioned it here. Component, yes, they have just mentioned it here. So they have mentioned that we have 3 major things: MCP host, MCP client, and MCP server. Okay, let's quickly talk about these things, because you have already seen these things, but now you just need to you can say navigate through these things. Okay, so first of all, let's go to our notes. Okay, perfect. So do you know what? Whatever you build here on this side, this is your MCP server. Okay, so let me just create a line. This is your MCP server. Which one? These ones. So this is actually MCP server, and you already know this. Simple. You already know this MCP server. Okay, now because we have this MCP server, where is our client? Where is our client? You will say, Ansh, Lamba, I think here is our client. Yes, this is our client. Now, where is our host? Client is fine, server is fine. Where is our host? First of all, understand what is host. Host is nothing but just the environment from where we have built the connection. Now connection can be built from obviously client, and obviously connection will be built with MCP server. So host is something from where we are building the connection. Make sense? So let me just explain again. So let's say you are using Python. Okay, now Python is your client. Simple. Then what is your host? Python is your host. Yes, Python is your host. Let's say you are using Claude. Let's say you are using Claude, or let's say you are using VS Code, because nowadays VS Code is also a kind of agentic IDE. VS Code is also your client. Oh, sorry, host. Really? Yes, it is also your host. Host is what? Host is literally your environment. Yes, and the biggest advantage of MCP is obviously you can integrate MCP in your programming language, which is Python. You can literally integrate MCP with your VS Code as well. Why? Because now VS Code supports agentic workflows. This is out of your scope of developing, because you didn't develop VS Code. VS Code community or VS Code team made it available inside VS Code. Earlier it was not available. Earlier the cursor was the only IDE where we saw MCP integrations, but after that VS Code is VS Code. Why would like VS Code stay behind? So they also integrated MCPs, and now we just use MCPs inside our VS Code as well. So this is our client. Oh, sorry, this is our client and this is our host. Like inside this thing, we create a host like this. Let's say like this. Oh, okay. Simple. So this is our client, this inside one. This is our client. Perfect. And this is our host. So let's say this is our client and this is our host. Simple. These are like very basic things. First of all, just you can say jargons that we use: client or server. You are simply creating a connection with your environment, and the server is obviously sitting at the application side, on the application side. Simple. And let me just remove this line because this is not required. We can simply understand the entire thing. This is the architecture. Architecture is very simple. Like obviously how it talks to each other, that is a different thing. These components are very simple. Client, server, host, client, server, host, client, server, host. And this is the backbone of it. USB-C port. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? I hope now you understand the entire thing about MCP. Why do we need it? And what problems does it solve? And what exactly we can just do with MCP. Now let's dig deeper inside MCP. Okay. So now let's talk about the types of MCP servers. There are basically two types of MCP servers. Yes, let's talk about both. And if I just go to the transport layer, here it is. So by the way, there are two types of layer. We will talk about layer after this, but we first need to talk about the MCP servers. Two types of MCP servers. Two types or more, you can say precisely, I can say two different types of transport layers our MCP servers can use. Okay, what are these two layers or these two types? The first one is STDIO transport. What is this thing? Whenever you are executing your entire MCP server locally on your local machine using standard input output process, then it will be called as STDIO transport. In this particular MCP server, or basically in this specific type of MCP server, you literally download the entire package. You download the entire MCP server, which is sitting here. You download it on your machine and you just do the work using standard input output. Simple. This was a very popular choice, but with the rise in agentic AI workflows where we are just building so many applications, we want a solution that is more scalable and that can handle more number of requests as well, right? Because when you just download a package locally, only you can just create one client to talk to that particular server at a time. Okay. But we need something that we use in our app development or basically web application development process. We always use a kind of protocol called HTTP, where we send authentication tokens in the headers, in the wherever you just want to send. Okay, it can be in query parameters, wherever. So we just want something like that. So for that particular purpose, more recently, I think just last year, they just introduced something called as Streamable HTTP transport, where you can literally treat your MCP server like a normal get request, post request like this. And you can just send all of the authentication tokens, everything through that particular request, because that is more scalable option. And that is the reason that nowadays you are seeing streamable HTTP requests, or basically streamable HTTP MCP servers are, you can say, gaining more popularity. Why? Because this is actually a solution that you want. STDIO is good. STDIO is good when you are developing something for you or just a few of people, just a few people. But when you just want to build a solution that will be used by so many people, then you have to build, or basically you have to use a streamable HTTP MCP server. You cannot rely on STDIO. Simple. Make sense? Okay. So these are the two MCP servers that we will be just exploring, and do not worry, I will just tell both of these things, because do you know why? STDIO, yes, is a kind of behind as compared to Streamable HTTP, but most of the MCP servers right now are still in the STDIO way of transporting. Why? Because when MCPs were new, the only way, or you can say the recommended way, was STDIO, but now the recommended way is Streamable HTTP. But we still use so many MCP servers that you would have seen in GitHub repos. We still use the STDIO ones. So we have to just know how we can just work with STDIO as well. Not because it is like legacy, it is not legacy at all. It will be relevant for future as well. But when you're building production applications, then you will also be using Streamable HTTP more. Simple, very good. Now, what is this transport layer? Transport layer is basically the communication layer. How your client is communicating with the server. Your client, if your client is communicating to the server locally, then it is like STDIO transport layer. If your client is communicating with the server through HTTP request, then it is Streamable HTTP transport. Simple. It is just the communication layer. And there is one more layer in the MCP server, which is called data layer. Remember that I just told you that we literally need to provide all of the things inside this JSON format. Remember, this is also a part of our data layer, where we define what exactly we need and what will be the requested thing. It can be a tool, it can be a prompt, it can be anything. So this is the layer that implements all of these things. Okay, it also handles your schema, what exactly you are sharing between the client and server. Simple. Okay, so this is your data layer and this is your transport layer. These are the two layers, and within the transport layer we have two different types of MCP servers. Simple. This a little bit theory was important, this one, okay, because when now I'll be just showing you the demo, then I didn't want you to feel like, oh, what is STDIO, oh, what is HTTP. Now you know the fundamentals, now you know a little bit of theory. Now when I'll be just building MCP servers, you will understand like what is this thing and why we are doing this thing. Okay, so now let's get started to create our MCP servers. Yes, because then only we will know more and more, just to learn, just by practice. So I would need some, you can say, prerequisites. Yes, before building my MCP servers. So I will simply say MCP prerequisites. So first of all, you need a code editor. I would recommend downloading VS Code editor. If you cannot, you can pick any code editor, but VS Code is a better one. Okay, but you can just download anything, PyCharm or whatever. And you would need obviously Python installed on your system. I would expect these two things for sure. And yes, and one more thing, I will just download it for you, do not worry. So the rest of the things we will just download it on the fly, but you need to download these two things, VS Code and Python. If you have these two things, you do not need anything else from the infrastructure point of view. Everything else is good, because I will just download so many things, so many frameworks, so many packages, and you will also get to know how to do all of these things. So if you have these two things, VS Code and Python, okay, then you can just get started with it. If you do not have, simply go to browser, simply search download VS Code. Okay, you will get the link, download it. If you do not have Python, go to Python, download. Oops, yeah, Python documentation is also fine. No, Python download and download it from, go to downloads and then go to and scroll down and then just search for 3.11. 3.11 is a better and stable Python version. So you can literally download any of this 3.11 version. If you have any Python version older than 3.10, then I would recommend you to upgrade it to, let's say, 3.10 or 3.11, because after the 3.10 we had some major changes, okay, in Python. So not like major changes, first of all, let me just tell you, but 3.9 is not recommended. As you can see, this is disabled totally. So 3.11 is actually very good, very stable. 3.12 is also very stable, but I have seen some bugs with this one, but yeah, it is good. So you can literally download 3.10 or 3.11. Okay, simple. So I have opened my VS Code editor, and you can just also open yours. And here you just need to make sure that you have opened an empty folder. As you can see, in my case, I have opened one empty folder called MCP masterclass. You can also open it by click here, file, click on open folder, and just pick any empty folder. If you do not have empty folder, simply create one. Simple. And first thing first, you first need to create your virtual environment, Python virtual environment, because I do not want to do everything on my global Python environment. And this is an industry standard as well, where you create a virtual environment first before building anything. So simply open a terminal and simply write, first of all, let's download UV. If you do not know about UV, UV is basically a Rust based Python package manager, which is very fast as compared to pip, and I love using UV. You can also download it by just using pip command, pip install UV, hit enter. In my case it is already downloaded, but in your case it will be downloaded. Then you can also say UV version and you will see the version of it. Simple, perfect. UV is an amazing command, and with just one command it will automatically create my virtual environment. Okay, so I can say UV init, and by the way, if you are on Mac, you can say pip3 install UV just to download UV. Okay, so I will say UV init, and this will initialize everything for me. As you can see, it has created some files, pyproject.toml, everything. This is a kind of npm init command that we just use with Node applications. And here I can say UV sync to create my virtual environment, and it will simply sync everything that I have in my pyproject.toml. If I just want to add any package, I can literally go in the toml file and I can write it here. And if I just say UV sync, it will automatically download all the packages in my virtual environment. But that is not a standard practice we do. We literally write UV add whatever package I want to add. If I want to add, let's say, any package, instead of writing pip install, you can say UV add. Simple. And with UV, you can even use pip commands as it is. If I want to say, let's say pip install whatever, I can literally add UV before that and it will work fine. Yes. So it is really fast. So I will simply, first of all, I have the virtual environment. Very good. So in order to create MCP server, you need a special library called fast MCP. Okay. I know it sounds very similar to fast API, but yeah, fast MCP. So simply say UV add fast MCP and hit enter, and it will simply download everything. Perfect. And if I just go to toml file now, you will see that it has automatically written this thing here as well, so that it keeps a track of everything. Simple, good. And yeah, so one thing, I think it has installed my packages in my global environment, because I created the virtual environment but I didn't activate it. But I think nothing is wrong, so I can just check. So in order to activate your virtual environment, there are two ways. You can literally open a new terminal and Visual Studio Code will automatically turn it on. If I just do it like this, let's say this is my new terminal, and you just need to wait and you will see it will be automatically added after some time. Sometimes it takes a longer than that, so you can also manually turn it on. How? Simply write .vnv scripts activate. If you are on Mac, you can just say .vnv, I think .bin .activate. Yeah, just check the command. I think it is .bin and all. So simply hit enter and you will see my folder name. So that means now this is my virtual environment. Now if I write pip list just to see how many packages do I have. So I will see, do I have fast MCP? I don't, yeah, I have. See, fast JSON schema. Yeah, I think it has automatically downloaded here in my virtual environment instead of global environment. I can literally check my global environment. Let me just check. So I will simply go here and I will say pip list. Do I have, let me just put it here. No, still I have a lot of packages, but it's fine. Okay, so I think we have fast MCP. I can literally type fast MCP just to see what will happen, because if we have that package, it's good. Yes, we have usage fast MCP command, so it has returned something. So very good. So we have this package in my virtual environment, not in global environment. So very well done. Our virtual environment is created. Now what I will do, I will create my you can say MCP server. And how we can just do that? First of all, you would need to create a file and let's create some chapters so that you can just take notes. So first of all, I will say create MCP, simple. And within this file, I will just create my first MCP server, and it will be like a very quick one and very simple one. So let me just create a file inside this. I will say first MCP server.py file, and let's say first. Okay, so this is my file. Very good. Now I just need to import a package called from MCP or from fast MCP, import fast MCP. So this is the utility that we will be using to create our MCP server. Simple. And then I can just create the object. So I will simply say MCP equals to fast MCP. If you have some experience with fast API, it is like very similar to that. We just create fast API dot fast API app, and then we simply create the app equals to fast API. Very similar to that. But yeah. So now our MCP server instance is this one. Now I need to create the MCP server functions. If I just go back to my architecture, you would see that within this MCP server, I have the functions that I create, right? So what I will do, I will create some functions, let's say def, and I want to create a function called, let's say, fetch. Okay, data fetch. And let's say I am building this MCP server for my organization, and I just want to route this function to make an API call and do everything for me, basically for the users. So I'll simply say simulating the fetching data from a source, and I will return data equals to hello MCP. Okay, obviously you can literally write, let me just add some comments for your notes. You can make some API calls here or fetch a data from database, and it will simply do the work for you. Simple, good. And in order to convert this function into an MCP function, or basically into a form of MCP tool, we use a special decorator called MCP.tool. Simple. So this is the function we need to just use, MCP.tool. Okay. Now you can just provide a name to this tool. Simple. You can simply say fetch data, whatever, but usually you should just keep the name same, because it will create unnecessary confusion, like what exactly was there and what is the function name if we have this tool name. So you should never provide anything else. Okay. And the most important thing, this is the tool, makes sense, but how my agentic workflow would know that I want to use this tool to fetch the data? That's where the concept of adding doc string into the picture. So what is a doc string? So we simply add some comments into the, you can say, in the beginning of the function, so that anyone can read it. This was a very generic practice for the data coding readability in the beginning, but then this became the most important thing for the LLMs to read the context of the functions, because LLMs need context. Like I have this function, but why should I call this function? Because of this context. So I can say use this tool to fetch data from a source. Simple. You can just make it more and more detailed as well, because more the detailed the function is, better it will perform with AI agents, obviously. Simple. Okay, use this tool, and this is my first tool that I have created. Let's say I want to create one more tool. I will simply say MCP dot tool, and this time I want to create, let's say, df process. Okay, not process, you can just literally do anything. Okay, process, and use this tool to process the fetch data. Okay, and then let's say data has been processed. Simple. You can literally write any logic here, because we are literally creating these functions, and these functions can just talk to any API, any backend URL, and everything. Simple. Good. Now these two tools are good, and I just want to create an MCP server for these two tools. Okay, how we can just do that? Now I am creating an STDIO MCP server. Okay, STDIO. So I can also write first MCP server and then STDIO. Simple. That means this MCP server will be running locally. Yes, we MCP server owners decide like what type of transformation we need to pick. Okay, we need to pick. So now I will simply go to my normal boilerplate thing. If underscore name equals to main, then simply say run the MCP server, but transport equals to STDIO. This is very important, non-negotiable, because you have to decide how you just want to run this particular server, right? Now it's time to run this server. So what I will do, I will literally open my terminal, and let's wait for our virtual environment to up and running. Perfect. And now I can say Python and then the name of the function. Okay, Do you know what? When we just pick these big names, that is the only pain point. We just need to run this file like this. Okay, chapter 1, create MCP, and then slash first MCP server STDIO.py. Hit enter and let's wait. Okay, so it has actually started this particular server. As you can see, fast MCP. Wow. Okay, and this is the CLI that you see. Not a CLI, basically they have just literally put this nice visual here. So here I can see that my server is now up and running. Now how can we just work with this particular MCP server? How? Because we have the server ready. Okay, we have the server ready. Now we need a client, right? We need a host, and we need this configuration as well, so that we can connect to this MCP server and we can just work with it. And as I just mentioned in the fundamental theory, that whenever we just build STDIO MCP server, we literally download the MCP server locally and then we just work with it. So here we have the MCP server here in our local system, and then let's see how we can just create a client to just work with this particular MCP server. Makes sense? And let's see how we can just do it. So now let's try to create the very first client. And in order to create Python client, there are two ways. The first is like very raw way that we do not use in the production applications. Okay, but still when you want to understand the entire flow, the behind the scenes work, then it is very important. And once you understand behind the scenes, then you just go with the, you can say, recommended approach. Okay, so I will just show you both the ways. So let's create the raw client, which will give you a very depth knowledge about what exactly we do when we create a client. Okay, once you understand that thing, then I'll just tell you very simple, straightforward way, the way that you will love and the way that is recommended when you are building any production grade solution. Okay, so let's say Python client dot py. So now in order to create this client, let me just close this terminal. So I will simply need some packages. Okay, first of all I will need import osy, because we need to tell where I have downloaded my MCP server. And as you can see now here, I have the MCP server here. I can hard code this location, but it is not something that we should do. We should never hard code the locations, because let's say you are building something on Mac and tomorrow you are deploying something on Linux or let's say Windows. It can just create a conflict, right? So we just use the OS module. Perfect. So apart from this, we also need to use something called as from MCP dot client, because we just need to create a client. But which type of client? We need to create STDIO client. Okay, and from here we just need to create import STDIO client. By the way, you can just see this code in the documentation as well. It is written there, but I'm simply writing it for you. And after this, you also need to import from MCP import, and I think you would need to add this MCP package as well, because I don't think so we have added this MCP package. We have only added fast MCP, which is for building the MCP servers. Makes sense? But we will just add it, don't worry. We need to import client session. As you can see, I'm getting the suggestions. Maybe I would have downloaded it, or maybe fast MCP would have just downloaded it. So client session and STDIO server parameters. Okay, STDIO server parameters. Simple. I can just do it like this. And then one more thing, which is client. Perfect. So these three things I need to import. And let me just check if I have MCP. If not, I can quickly say uv add MCP. Perfect. Okay, now it has automatically downloaded it. I think it was already there, that's why it is showing resolved. Very good. So you can also double check if it is there in the dependency. Yes, we have MCP now. So MCP package is also downloaded. Now first of all, we need to create the path to the MCP server script. Now, because I am just using STDIO MCP server, in this scenario, I have saved my MCP server in the same working directory, but sometimes it can be in a different directory. Maybe when you are just writing so many applications, most probably you would be just creating a dedicated directory, working directory for just MCP servers, and you can just redirect all the requests to that particular directory. It can be the scenario. So that is why I'm just using this particular thing. And here I will simply say MCP server scripts, and I know that my script is in my current directory. So I will simply say os.path.absolute path, because you need absolute path. And which path I need? I would need not absolute path, because if I use absolute path, it will get the location of this file. Okay, let me use absolute path of this, okay, file. If I do this, I will get the absolute path of this file, Python client, but this is a client, this is not my, you can say, MCP server. So I just need path till my create MCP folder, right? These are like Python fundamentals. So I will simply say os.path.directory name, because I just need the path till directory name, and I can then get the directory. Okay, and then I can simply apply a join function to now direct the file name. So I'll simply say, first of all, wrap this entire thing, and then I can say os.path.join, and I need to join this path, and let me just use one more curly braces, and I want to use, let's say, comma, wait, let me scroll towards right, comma, and then my server name is this one. Okay, first MCP Server Studio.py. Perfect. And just to check if our path is fine, so I can literally say print MCP server script, and let's see if the path is fine. I can run this particular file, and let's see. I should see the entire path. Yes, it is fine. C drive, MCP masterclass, then chapter 1, then this server. Very good. That's how you can just create a dynamic paths so that it will work in all of the machine types using OS module. Now I need to create the client session. Let's try to do that. So I'll simply say create a client session, and here I will simply say MCP client. And before even creating the clients, we need to create the STDIO server parameters. Okay, so I'll simply say create server parameters. So server parameters equals to STDIO server parameters. This is the same package that I have imported here, and here we simply define some things. What kind of thing? What command I need to use to run my MCP server? Make sense? I want to use, let's say, Python. That's it. That's it for now. And if this is just one command, I can just remove this list. Perfect. Because whenever I just want to run my, you can say, MCP server, I just want to run it with Python command. Because whenever we just run any file, we simply say Python file name, right? Python and then script name, whatever, right? And then I will simply provide the arguments, which is my MCP server script path. I hope it makes sense. And I can even convert it into string, because sometimes it returns the object. So this is my arguments. Now it is asking for the environment. So obviously we do not have any kind of environment variables. So it will be just empty dictionary like this. That is it. And here I can simply close this thing, because this is a kind of reusable parameter format that I can just use in all of the clients that I'll be just creating. Okay, simple. Very good. Now let's finally create the session. Now, because this particular MCP server works with asynchronous behavior, we have to create asynchronous coroutine. If you do not know about coroutine, you should know about coroutine. Coroutine is basically a function which can take asynchronous requests. Okay, it runs on the concept called event loop. Asynchronous is actually a very detailed topic in itself, but in short, asynchronous behavior is something that allows asynchronous calls to your functions. Okay, makes sense? Simple. And it is very simple. We just need to create a special function. Let's say if I'm creating a function like this, def, then I just need to change and add this word asynchronous and then def. That's it. Okay, and let's call it as main, because we'll be just writing all of the logic within this thing. Then we need to create a context manager, and that too with asynchronous. So I will simply say asynchronous with client session. You can just use STDIO client as well. So STDIO client, and then I just need to pass these server parameters. server parameters, and then obviously create an object called session. Okay, and again I'm repeating, I know this is a very hard way to create the client, but I will just tell you the simplified way as well. But this is very important when you need to know behind the scenes. Okay, and within this context we need to create one more context. It is called asynchronous with, and this time what will be the client? It will be client session. Okay, and then we need to put session as our, you can say, object within this. Okay, let's do it like this, and let me just hide this thing, and let's use as, let's say, session. Okay, I think we do not need to write session here. It will be read write. I can just show you the exact code as well, do not worry at all, and you do not need to remember it as well, so relax. Okay, and then I can simply write it here, await session. It's fine. Okay, it's fine. So now I can simply say await. If you do not know about asynchronous, you would say, what is this await? Await is basically a call that tells your program that, hey, do not directly jump on to the next command. You need to wait until your work is done. Okay, I know this is a little bit confusing, but this is like fundamental thing in Python, so you should know about this thing. Okay, very simple. So now what do I need to await? What do I actually need to create? I just need to initialize my session. I'll simply say session.initialize, and that's it. Okay, and now the main part, session is created. Okay, session is created. Session is created means you can talk to your MCP server. Your MCP server can just respond to your calls. Oh, hey, what do you want? I want to fetch the tools, like all the tools that I have, all the functions. Remember this function? Remember this function? These functions. I want to see how many functions do I have? What information do I have within my you can say MCP server? Obviously I need that information first of all, so I will just let's say call the functions, let's say tools, any variable, await session.get tools. Get tools is basically, I think not get tools, I think it is list tools, but I can just check if we just see the errors. So list tool or get tools, whatever, is the function that we have within this particular object that we have created, session, and this will return all of the tool, but with arguments. What do I mean by with arguments? It will also return what arguments it is expecting from us, or basically any agentic workflow. That is the main thing about MCP. It will not just return the tool names, because function names are of no use. I cannot just make a function call without any kind of information about that function, any kind of information about the arguments, but it will just return that thing. Wow. So I think it will be list tool, because I didn't see color being changed. Yeah, now it is fine. List tools. So it is done. Yes, it is finally done. And now I can literally create, I think this should also be, wait. Yeah, I think this should also be read write. I think so, because we first create the object here and then we use that object here. Okay. Yeah. And then we just create a session. Okay. So this is my main function. Now I do not need to do anything. I just need to run this file. So I will import async.io. Yes, async.io is very important to run the coroutine. Async.io, and let's trigger it. Async.io.run main. Boom. Are you ready to run this thing? Let's see what will happen. Obviously, if we see any errors, we are developers, we will fix the errors. Okay, let's run this. In order to run this, you can click here, or you can say Python and your file name, so that you can just run it. Let me just do it this way, and let's wait for some time. So it is already executed. Okay, so this is the output that I can just see, and this is the thing I'm just talking about. Available tools, meta equals to none, next cursor equals to none. Tools, this is the main thing. So I have tool name called fetch. Do I have fetch tool? Yes, I have. This is a tool. This is a tool, fetch. Okay, very good. Title equals to none, because I didn't pass any title. That is fine. And description, do I have any description? Yes. Use this tool to fetch data from a source. Ansh, Lamba, this line looks familiar, but where did we define this line? Very good question. This is your doc string, bro. This is your doc string. See, df fetch, and it literally converted your doc string internally into what? Description. So whatever you write, Right after you create the function object, it converts your doc string into the description. Wow, power of MCP. I didn't do it. I literally created the MCP server. It automatically does that thing using this decorator. Simple, very good. And then do I have any information about the input arguments? Yes. Input schema equals to additional property is false because I do not have any kind of input schema. I am not expecting any kind of arguments, but I can. If I have those things, it will also be written here. This is a detailed context about my tool that I have created within my MCP so that any agent can use it. Any agentic workflow can use it. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Again, do I have any other tool? Yes, this is the other tool name. So I have literally the entire tools list. Wow. Now just tell me one thing. If I hand over this information to any agentic workflow, will that agentic workflow, because obviously LLMs are very, very smart now, can they make the right choice? Yes. Yes. Can they pass the arguments? Yes. Because they know what exactly we need to pass. Second thing is they know what exactly we need to pass in which format. Am I expecting any kind of dictionary? Am I expecting any kind of what? Because as a standard, it expects all the inputs in the form of JSON. Oh, and it would also know the format as well. Let me just show you. Let's say I just make some changes in my server. Let's say in my process, I just ask for the path of string format. Okay, because I need the path to process your data. So I'll simply say data has been processed at path, and this is my path. Okay, let's rerun this particular client now. Let's see what will we get. Let's say clear. Perfect. And let's run this file. Perfect. And this time you will see that I will get some information regarding my you can say parameters as well. Let's see. In the tool name process, description obviously is there. We know that. But this time I have this particular properties as well. Path is what? My input argument. And what is the type? String. It also has that information. Everything is done with this particular decorator called mcp.tool. Everything, every small information is converted into context that your model can consume to automatically take decisions to call the tool and get the result back. That is why nowadays you are seeing that MCPs are very much in demand, because it actually provides everything to our model, to our AI agentic workflow. Wow. Yes. Okay. Obviously, now you can literally write any custom logic you want to write, any custom logic you want to write for your organization or for your client, like whatever work you are doing. You can just create MCP servers like this. This is a very basic example, but you just need to understand that this is all you need to do. You can literally just do anything you want. Are you getting a point? Are you getting a point? You just need to just do this thing and that's it. And now you can also ask me one thing. Ansh, Lamba, why didn't you just write asynchronous here? Even if you do not write this thing, it is equivalent to this. It will internally make this change. Do not worry at all. If I just write this thing, it is equivalent to this thing. Because MCP, fast MCP expects you to just write only and only asynchronous code and that's it. Oh, so by default, you need to just assume this thing that you can only create the asynchronous functions and that's it. And that is the requirement as well. You do not want synchronous behavior, because synchronous behavior literally locks the threads whenever you're just making some calls to that tool, right? So this is your Python client. Now, Ansh, Lamba, this is fine, but this is not like very, very handy when we just creating client. Exactly. That is why it is very good when you just want to understand the output, like how exactly it will behave. And if you just want to, let's say, invoke any tool. Okay, let's say you are just building any automation pipeline, and if you just want to use the fetch tool, okay, then you can literally call any function by yourself, because see, you will call the function or AI will call the function. Same thing. Function should be called. Simple. Function should be called. So you can literally call any particular tool with the same object session, but you need to make sure that what tool you are calling. Okay, what tool you are calling. Second thing is arguments is very important. Let me show you. So let's say I just want to use fetch tool. Okay, so I'll simply say, let's say result equals to await session dot call tool. This is the function that we use, call tool, and I want to use fetch. But this is a very simple call. Let's use process, because with process we have to just send the parameters as well. Let's say process. Perfect. Now I will simply say arguments, and now in the arguments I will simply say any path, obviously, and then I can just print this data. Let's now run this thing, and now let's see what will we get. Okay, because now we should first of all see the tools list, and then we should also see the data. So I can see data has been processed at path this thing. Wow, this way you can just make any tool call using the client. So all of the functions are available to me, all of these functions. See, go back to the architecture. I am literally making the API calls using the client. Oh, and this is your USB-C JSON part is coming. Don't worry, because when we just use the raw method, we do not need to provide the JSON. We literally just create the client like normally with any SDK, Python, TypeScript, anything, and it will automatically route my logic to the respective APIs. Wow, that's exactly I need to do. Where is our VS? Yeah, here. That's exactly we need to do. So this is a very basic example of creating the STDIO based server. Okay. Makes sense, and I hope it is very clear. Now I want to show you the recommended approach to create the client, and the approach which will actually very handy whenever you just want to build solutions or anything. And for that you will use a very popular open source framework, very popular in the AI era. Okay, in this AI world, it is called Langchain. Yes, so Langchain has a very special module, very special utility that we can use to build the client very easily. It's an amazing module, and you will love it. Let me show you. Let's say Langchain client.py. So in order to work with Langchain, first of all, we need to download Langchain in our virtual environment. Simply say uv add Langchain. So it will download Langchain. And if you haven't worked with Langchain, do not worry. We are not discussing Langchain here. We're discussing MCP. We will be just using only one function from Langchain, which is just like a normal function. You use it from Python. So it is nothing like, oh, what is Langchain? What is Langchain? By the way, you should know about Langchain. Langchain is like amazing thing. And I have created dedicated course on Langchain as well. Let me just show you. Langchain full course, Ansh Lamba. Boom. So this is the course, and yes, I have created one course on LangGraph as well. So I would recommend, if you just want to learn Langchain and LangGraph, bro, you have these resources, and amazing course. And this is like the latest version of Langchain and LangGraph, because Langchain and LangGraph was thoroughly updated after V 1.0 something. So I just used this particular course. Like I just created this course with the latest update. So if you just want to learn Langchain and LangGraph both, I have two courses, one on Langchain. First learn Langchain and then LangGraph, because LangGraph is built on top of Langchain. Okay, so just learn if you just want to. Simple, good. So now let's see how we can just work with it. It's very simple. So we have a special module within Langchain. From Langchain, I think .mcp. I don't know if I just need to add more and more utilities, because whenever we just add Langchain, it just adds the basic things. But if you just want to, let's say, add MCP, maybe I just need to download it. So let's see. Langchain MCP, do I have? No. So let me just add it. I think I do not have that. So let's say uv add Langchain, because it does not come by default, I think, MCP adapters. Perfect. Yeah, now it is done. See, MCP adapters. This is the package that I'll be just using. Here you just need to say .client import, not Langchain MCP client, I think multi server MCP client. This is the particular utility that will connect you or your code to any MCP server. Okay, Then finally we are good. Okay, now how to just create the, you can say, client. Okay, how to create the client. So what I can do, I can literally create the same function that I just created before, async df main, and I can just import async io. Perfect, and that is fine. Now df main. So now here what I will do, I will literally create a special type of JSON. Okay, special type of JSON, because I just told you that I just need to create a JSON, right? So let's create that JSON, and that JSON will just have some information about the MCP. The very first thing, and let's create an object first of all, like this, create an instance of multi-server client. Okay, now I will say that I want to MCP Server config JSON. So I will say, let's say first of all you need to provide the name of the MCP server. So simply open the dictionary and then simply write any name. Let's say I want to create data fetch or data, yeah, let's say data fetch MCP. This is the name of the MCP that I just want to keep. Okay, or I can literally add STDIO just to make sure it is fine, and then I will just create another nested object, and here it will ask me for the transport. And what is a transport? STDIO, as we all know. Then second thing will be command, like what is the command that I need to use to run this particular you can say your MCP server. Now you will say, Ansh, Lamba, command will be Python, right? It can be Python, it will work, but in some cases, whenever you install the packages, especially in the development environment, whenever you are installing the packages in the virtual environment, you want your client to use the Python which is sitting here in .vnv and not anywhere else. Oh, so you need to point your Python towards your virtual environment. So how you can just do that? Simply go to virtual environment, go to scripts, then search for Python something. Here python.exe, right click on it, and then simply say copy path. This will copy the entire path, not relative path, entire path. Simply say Control V. Okay, now in my case it uses this backslash, so I have two options. I can just use another backslash for the escape character, or I can simply use R, which is like for characters. So I'll simply say R. You can also do that if you just want to. Okay, so this is my path that I just want to use. Okay, makes sense. Oh, where did I just paste it? Oh, we just need to paste it here. Simple. Here you can also use backslash just to work with escape characters. It's very simple, it's not a big deal, but I just prefer using R. And this is my command. Now it will just go to my dedicated virtual environment. But in production, obviously we do not create virtual environments, we directly install all the dependencies in the environment, so that is also fine, not a big deal. Then here comes the main part, arguments. What do we need to put in the arguments? Same thing, we need to put the location where we have saved our server. Okay, now again there are multiple ways how we can just do it, so let's do the hard-coded way first of all, then we can just remove it, not a big deal. And then I can simply say arguments, arguments, and this is the path that I just want to keep. Chapter MCP, create MCP, and force MCP. Yes, this is the path that I just want to pick. Okay, this is everything. See, this is the JSON that you just need to create. Name of the server, transport type, command, and arguments, and that's it. Rest of the things will be taken care by my Langchain object, which is this one. Wow. Yes, rest of the things will be created by this one, and let me just put it inside this one because I just need to create this client like this. Perfect. So rest of the things will be created within this particular thing, multi-server MCP client, because it just takes the argument of your JSON and that's it. It will just create the client for you. And do you know what? Now I can literally perform everything within this. I can literally say list the tools, and I can say tools equals client.list tools. Simple, simple, very good. And you are good. And why I'm not seeing green? I think it is get here because they just keep on changing the color. Yeah, now it is fine. Get tools. So this is the function that I just need to use, and then I can just print available tools. And now let's see if it works or not. If name equals this, async.io.run main. Simple. Let's see if it works or not. And I think this is the way that you would also love. Simple. Tell your client about your MCP, and that's it. So I think I'm getting the response. See, and just to make sure that this is the right response, let me just clear. And again, let me just run it. See, I have got the tools here, available tools. See, fetch, description, same thing that you have used, that you have just seen there. But obviously you would see a little bit different structure. Why? Because whenever you're just creating the client within Langchain, you are creating the client for the Langchain agent. So it will automatically convert your raw code like this. Let me just show you that terminal. That is the point, like why I just showed you this Python client. So currently the thing is, it creates the same client. Nothing is different. It creates the same client. So if I just go to my, where was that terminal? I think it was the same terminal. I just used clear. Not a big deal. Like I can just show you. If I go to Python client, okay, the raw client, what I would see, let me just show you. I would see the structure like this. See, tools equals to this and tools equals to list, everything, right? But when I go to Langchain client, I will see like a quick difference. Let me just run this. Perfect. I have seen structure, tool, name, description, like it is same, but not exactly. Why? Because it created the client from Langchain. So what is the difference? It created the client using same code. Obviously the code is not changed. Langchain also used the same code under the hood, but it first got the tools like the native raw tools. Then it converted those tools into Langchain tools so that these tools can be integrated within the Langchain agent. Because whenever we just build the agents from Langchain, we use a special decorator called tool, where it converts our function into a tool, our custom function, right? And now we are creating the tools, or basically fetching the tools from the MCP server. So we need to make sure that our existing tools are compatible with the MCP tools. Are you getting my point? Right? Let me just show you. So let's say you are this developer. Okay. Let's say you are this developer and you are just using MCP server, and this is your MCP server, and you have got some functions. Simple. And you are now using these functions in your code. Perfect. Okay. But you were using Langchain. Okay. And you have already built some tools. Let's say tool number 1. Simple. Okay. Tool number 2, tool number 3. These 3 tools were created through Langchain. Now you have got, let's say, some tools from here as well. Like from here, let's say 2 tools from here. You just fetch 2 tools, or let's say all the tools. Now you need to make sure that these 2 tools are compatible. Makes sense? So these tools will be converted into Langchain style tools, like the tools that Langchain understands. So these will be, let's say, transformed into, let's say, this color. Oh, make sense? Make sense? Langchain style tools. Now these tools are converted. This is the whole point. That is what Langchain is doing. And to be honest, Langchain is doing obviously an amazing work, but obviously for their benefit as well, because if they do not do this thing, then obviously people will find difficulties while creating agents with Langchain. They will not find the very smooth, you can say, conjunction of both the providers. Makes sense? So this is all about your creating a client with Langchain. So we'll be just using this standard from now onwards, okay, using Langchain to create clients, because Python client is like good, but whenever we are building agents, we usually use packages like Langchain, Langgraph. So obviously we just need to learn this thing, which is a better approach. Okay, so this is all about creating the Langchain client. Okay, and before jumping on to the next topic, let's make our this Langchain client dynamic. Otherwise you will say, hey, you just created this Python client dynamic and this is not dynamic. It's very simple. We can literally create the same thing. So let's say import OS, and here I can say path to MCP server. I want MCP server script, and I can literally copy it from here because we defined it and both the scripts are the same level, so it is same. And now this is tricky. For virtual environment, we need to pick, let's say, 2 times directory name, because if I just pick this thing, first of all it is .when. Okay, so now if I just pick this directory name, it will not work, I think. Why? Because yeah, this is fine. I have to just put directory name 2 times. Why? Because first of all it will go to this directory and it will come here at chapter 1. Do I have .vnv here? Not at all. I have .vnv under this directory. So that is why I have used directory name 2 times here, because first I will reach here. At the second directory name here, I will reach here. And then I will just join my path with .vnv. Okay. Okay. Very good. So now I can just replace these things from here, and I can say command will be my script, MCP server script. I can convert it to string. Yeah, it should be, or I can just keep it as it is. And here I will simply use this particular thing. Yes, because after getting the .vnv, we need to go inside .vnv and we need to go to scripts folder, and then within this we have Python executable, and then you will simply use it. So let's see if it works or not. So let's run this. Let's wait for a bit, and oh, it is working. Very good. So as you can see, fetch is there and all of the things are there. Very good. I hope it makes sense. So this is also working. Now your Langchain client is also dynamic, so you can just see how you can just create dynamic paths, which is a better approach for production. But to be honest, in production you will not use venv a lot, but some people use it, so I don't want to argue on that. It's your choice. You are developer, you are king of your code, you are the owner, you should just do whatever you want. Simple. So now let's try to now focus on streamable HTTP MCP server, how we can just create streamable HTTP MCP server. Okay, let's see. So now let's see how we can just create one HTTP server. So do you know what? You do not need to change anything in your MCP server. You just need to tell how you want to run your MCP server, and that's it. You literally do not need to perform any change in your code. That is again the beauty of MCP decorators, because they are handling all of the things for you. Simple. So let's create a new folder. Okay, and let's call it as, let's say, streamable HTTP, because I'll be creating new clients within that, so that is why. So let's say HTTP MCP. Very good. Now let's say I just want to create this kind of MCP server. So let me just create a file, and I will say HTTP MCP.py. Perfect. So this is my MCP server. Now, because I said that I want to run my MCP server using HTTP transport, so here I have to mention streamable HTTP. If you do not define this thing, then how it would know that you want to run your MCP server with streamable HTTP? Okay, then you need to define your host. Now what will be the host? Host will be like obviously your local host, and port you can define anything. Let's define 8080, but usually we run our backends on 8080, so just to be on the safer side we can just say 8050. Okay, like this. It is good. It is good. Let's try it. Yeah, that's all. That's all. You do not need to change anything. But this time you will say something different will happen, because this is not your local package. Because if you would observe how I am executing everything, if I just go to, let's say, STDIO MCP server, this is my STDIO MCP server. Whenever my client requests this MCP server, hey, give me the tool names, hey, please execute this function, how it is actually doing it? Local execution using standard input output. So this is using this particular utility, this particular package locally. Oh yeah, but with streamable HTTP you can say that all the requests, all of the things will go to a URL using HTTP protocol. Are you getting the point? So now, yes, I will run my MCP server locally. Yes, my MCP server will run on localhost, but that localhost can be any domain. Oh, because now we are building streamable HTTP. And obviously in future, you will also be deploying your HTTP server, MCP server. So that way, you do not need to rely on using the code from here, not at all. You do not even need to worry about the code sitting in your system or not. That is the difference. And now you will say, obviously this is a better approach. I told you. So let's try to run this thing. And let me just click on this play button. Let's see. What do we get? And bro, run this. Okay, so now we have got one error. Very good. So let me just clear this thing so that I can also see what went wrong. So if I just simply say run, let's say, oh, it's fine. I think something else was there. So now it is saying UVCon running on blah, 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 blah. And I can just see this amazing UI in terminal. So I can literally go to my MCP at this particular URL. I just want to tell you one thing before you directly click on this link. Whenever you just give the host like this 0.0.0.0, you will see like this, like you can literally go to this link, and when you will just click here, you will not see anything, because 0.0.0.0 is not a kind of any kind of domain or any local host. If you want to verify that this is working on a local host, you need to open a different browser, okay, and then just search localhost and then enter this path 8050. This MCP server is running on port number 8050 of your local machine, and it automatically adds this endpoint called MCP /MCP. So you have to write /MCP, otherwise you will not see anything. Okay, so let's actually see. You can also go to browser. Let me just open Edge, and I will say localhost and then colon is for your port number. Then I will say 8050. Okay, hit enter, and I will see not found. Why? Because I have not put MCP, so I have to write MCP and hit enter. Wow, this is saying JSON RPC ID this error code -32600 not accessible, client must accept text event stream blah 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 blah. That is fine, because that is just running on the server. Okay, but this way you can access it. Okay, makes sense. But whenever we create our MCP server, this is not a kind of, you can say, application we are building. This is not a web application, so that we should expect something while going to this particular URL, right? If we want to actually inspect our MCP server that we have built using streamable HTTP, there is a special module for that. It is called Inspector. Yes, MCP Inspector. But in order to use, or in order to Inspector, in order to use MCP Inspector, which is an amazing tool, it provides an amazing UI as well. You can literally see your tools, you can test it, you can run it right from the UI. You would need a special module, or basically utility called Node. Yes. So all of the TypeScript people would be feeling very, very happy. Hey, we have Node in our system. Yes, you would have that. So if you are my Python bro, okay, if you are my Python brother or sister, then let me just tell you how you can also download Node. It's very simple. If you do not know about Node, it is also a kind of runtime similar to Python. So if you want to execute or basically run any code related to JavaScript, so we have to use Node. Okay, so let me just show you how you can download it. It's very simple, similar to downloading Python. I would say even much more simpler than Python. So simply search Node download, and you will land on this particular page, Node.js. And here you will click on Windows if you are on Windows. If you are on Mac, click on Mac and then download. It will download one installer for you, and you just need to say next and install. Okay, your node will be downloaded. You can restart your machine. Sometimes I have seen like you would need to restart your terminal or restart your machine at least. So if you see any issue, just restart your machine. It should solve the problem. And now I will check if my node is working fine or not, because I have already downloaded it, right? So I can open one terminal, and here I will say node. Let me wait. Yeah, node-v. I will see 2022.17.0. This is the latest version. I don't think so. Yeah. So you can use the latest version if you have node v, and I can also check npm, which comes by default with node. Npm is a kind of package manager similar to pip that we use with Python. So I will say -v. Okay, this is also there. I can also say npx, which is used to run the packages. This is also there. So all of the things are here. You should also see all of these things. Otherwise your installation is not correct. Just reinstall it. Simple. Now I need to create one virtual environment for npm, basically node. But you know what? We do not create virtual environments with node because node is designed in such a way that it runs with that isolated environment. And we just need to say npm init. When we write this thing, it will automatically create some, you can say, package, npm install. Oh, let me just write it again. Package manager name. So here I can simply, oh, I just put clear. Wow. Oh man, let me just cancel it. Let me just open one new terminal. I was like having some less space because I have zoomed in the screen. So let me just write it again. npm init. I can also say -y. It does not ask those things, but because I clicked on npm init, let me just write it again just to show you. It's not a big deal. Okay. So then package name, I can say, let's say HTTP MCP. Hit enter. Version is fine. Hit enter. Description, enter. Entry point, enter. Test command. That's why I do not like this thing. Okay. Now let me just show you the better way. Simply say npm init and -y. That's it. That is a better approach. It will save some time. So npm init -y. And perfect. Boom. In one command. That's it. So it takes the default values from our working directory and it saves everything from there. It does not disturb us. So here, as you can see, that what actually happened after this command. I can see package.json. This is equivalent to this virtual environment. Oh really? Kind of, because we do not create virtual environments in node. It is just like package.json. Whatever package I write inside this package.json, like this, in the dependencies and all scripts. Okay, script is here. Index. Do not worry. First of all, do not worry about anything here. Node is not something that you need to know for this video. Okay, we will simply just use one package which is built inside node. That is why I have downloaded this thing. You do not need to know node at all. Do not worry at all. Okay, and let me just close this file as well. This is not for you. Simple. Okay, so let me just add one package, and this package is called MCP Inspector. Hit enter. You will see some documentation as well if you just want to see. MCP Inspector is an interactive developer tool for testing and debugging MCP servers. I hope it makes sense. So what it will do, it will simply create a kind of UI for your local MCPs and production MCPs as well. So this will be a kind of interactive way to look at the tools, to look at the functions and all of these things. Okay. So how you can actually install this particular package. So there are like multiple ways. You can also use npm, or you can say PyPI. I am not a big fan of npm. I can just simply say using it with PyPI. But the thing is, because you are using npm, you can say your node as the module, I'll simply say go with npm. It will be a better approach. Okay, so here I can literally write common way to start a server from npm or py. Let me just write my own command. I do not need to rely on this thing. So I can simply say npm and npx @model context protocol and / I think inspector. So this is the package that I just want to run directly from my npx. Before running this command, you need to make sure that your MCP server is running. Let me just check if it is running. I can just delete this particular cell because my server is running here. Okay, so this is running. I can see that UVCon running on HTTP, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is something that is running. Okay, now you just need to go to this particular new terminal and here just run this command npx and the package name. It will automatically run the package for you. You do not need any kind of commands to install it, anything. Hit enter. Need to install the following packages? Yes. Like it will automatically do it. Obviously you need a package, but it will automatically pull it. npx is that command. So let's wait. Starting up MCP server, and now it is saying that, ooh, what just happened? So this is that particular thing that I was just talking about. This is the UI that automatically created for us. Okay, and before doing anything here, let me just show you. If I just go to VS Code, it is saying that proxy server listening on localhost 6277. Okay, and it has just started up my server, and now it is simply saying opening in browser, and now it has just opened this in my browser. Where is my browser? Okay, here. But here, if you just closely observe, we do not have anything, because you need to configure, you need to tell the location of your MCP server, because you have literally started the inspector. Inspector doesn't know what is the URL of your MCP server. So you need to tell, simply say STDIO and say Streamable HTTP, because this particular, you can say your MCP server is not STDIO, it is Streamable HTTP. What is the URL? URL is HTTP localhost 8050 MCP. Make sense? Simply click on connect, and this is the connected fast MCP server. Wow. Okay. Now what just happened? Your inspector, the UI which is provided by MCP itself, is connected with your MCP server. If you are using a local MCP server which is running locally on your local host, because during development it will be running on your local host, but once it is deployed, you can even change the URL from here. Simply say HTTPS, then localhost, and then blah 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 blah. Okay, so these are all of the resources that you have in MCP. We didn't create any resource, so we do not have anything here. We did not create any prompts, so we do not have anything here. We have tools. Click on tools, and then just click on list tools. Here it will simply list all of my tools. Fetch and process are two tools that I have. Okay, why I do not have any kind of resource and prompts? So whenever we create MCP, 99.999999% we simply create tools, and we handle all of the prompts, resources, any dependency within the function, within the tool itself. But some people prefer keeping prompts as well, because prompt is actually a kind of thing which is equally important as tool. Right now you are already seeing skills around Claude Code. What are skills? Simply the markdown files, prompts. So that is why they have literally added this thing as well, prompts, where you can actually create skills or prompts as well as your MCP server, where you do not create a function or basically tool, but you create a prompt. I have not personally used this particular feature much. Plus, I have not seen a very high demand of creating prompts. I handle everything in the tool itself, because tool is the standard. Okay. And I just said 99.999999% people or companies, organizations would be building tools. But it's not like that. It's not like this is the only thing that you can create, but you can create prompts and resources as well. If you want to create, please feel free to explore this as well. Simple. Very good. So let's say now I have created this MCP server. I want to test it. So I'll simply go to this fetch button, basically my tool, or let's go to, let's say, process. Click here. It will simply provide everything. See, it is literally asking me for the parameter, because path is the parameter in my MCP server. I can literally say anything. Let's say my path. Simple. This is the metadata, because we do not have any metadata, so it doesn't have anything. Simple. Now if I want to run my tool, I can click on run tool, and I should see the output. Scroll down, success, tool result success, and this is the output of it. This is the way where you do not need to create a client with this particular MCP server. I will still tell you how to create this, because in the coding we need to do it, but this is very useful when you want to make sure that your MCP server is running fine. There is no bug in it, inside it. You can just play around with it. You can just pass on some you can say arguments, some inputs, and you can just see how the data is actually coming out of your MCP server. Okay. If something is wrong, you can just see it here with nice UI. I can pick any other tool. I can just test it. Simple. There is no parameter here. I can literally say run tool success, and this is the data. So this is the output. See, data. Why? Because this is a dictionary. This is the thing that I'm returning. See, if I just take you to this particular server, I'm literally saying return. So this is literally returning the same thing. Okay. You can even integrate Pydantic with it just to make sure your schema is intact. Pydantic is actually a very good library in Python for data validation and parsing. So this is that particular thing, bro. Are you getting my point? If you have any other MCP, which is let's say hosted somewhere else, or even you are using MCP from third party and it is hosted somewhere, you can literally put the URL here and you can just play around with it. The only thing that you need is this particular package, which is this npx model context protocol inspector. Simple. Makes sense? Good. Now let me just tell you how you can just create a client with your code, because we are developers, we need to write code, right, after testing it. So let me just tell you how you can just create a client, okay, within your Python to just get the same thing out of it. Let's see. So let's see how we can just create the client. Because I told you the power of MCP, what we need to do if we want to just, let's say, add more MCPs, just USB-C port, right? Let me just show you. So I will literally go to my client. Okay, let me just create one client. Let me just copy this Langchain one, because I've told you that Langchain is the best approach. Okay, so let's say Langchain client. So here what I need to do exactly, before creating the client, make sure the server is running. Okay, and my server is running here nicely. Very good. So what I will do, I will literally change my JSON. How? So this is my client, right? And this is Langchain client. Okay, let me just remove it. Okay. So this is my client. Here, I do not need any kind of MCP server script. Why? Because I'm not using STDIO. Okay. So what I will do, let's do a fun thing. Let's add one server. Let's not replace or remove it. I will say, I want this server for sure. Keep it as it is. Now, this time I want to add one more. Oh, can we do that? Obviously. Okay. But just before doing that thing, I can change the functions name, basically tool names, and HTTP. And here I can restart my server. Perfect. And here I will say run this file. Okay, perfect. This is again running. Very good. Now what I will do, I will literally add one more MCP server. So this is my first server. Perfect. Here I will add a comma and I will paste a new server. And in the new server, I just need to tell that what is my transport type. My transport type is not STDIO. It is Streamable HTTP. First thing. Second thing is URL. I do not need any command because I'm not executing it locally. I do not need any argument because I do not need any kind of file. I just need host and that's it. I just need the entire URL and that's it. Wow. Yes, simple. So I'll simply say URL. And what is the URL? HTTP localhost 8050, and do not forget to add /MCP. This is it. Wow. I have literally added one more MCP. Are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. Just rename this thing because we need to keep a different name. So now I have two MCP servers here. Okay, one is local STDIO and one is streamable HTTP, which is a very common thing because in the real world we actually work with multiple MCP servers. It can be local, it can be streamable, it can be HTTP, whatever. Make sense? And let me just remove this because I do not need this thing. Perfect. I don't need this virtual normal path. Nothing. Make sense? Oh, that was for oops the previous one. I was like, okay, it's fine, it happens. Okay, I hope it makes sense. Let's test it. Only then we will just get to know what actually happened. So now here I will simply print all of the tools available. How many tools do I have? I have 4 tools, bro. 2 from here and 2 from here. Should we see 4? Let's see. Let me just run this thing and let's wait. And let's hope for the best. Let me just say clear. Let me just run it for one more time. Okay. Invalid JSON expected, and I think something is wrong with the indentation. Let me just check. Okay. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. This is also fine. Okay. I think JSON is correct. I think so. So let's do one thing, because I think indentation is fine. Let's restart the MCP server, because I think we changed so many things and I do not need to just keep it like that. So let's restart the server. Where is our MCP server? Here. Let me just run this thing. Let's wait. Okay, this is fine. Now let's try to run this file. Let's see. Okay. This is the same error or different one? Okay, let me just hit here. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it is the same error. Where is this error, bro? What kind of indentation are you talking about, bro? What type of indentation? So let's do one thing. Okay. Let's comment it out. Let's see if it solves the issue, because that is the, you can say, backtrack debugging strategy, and that's what I can just think right now. So let's open a new terminal, and let's close this terminal as well, and let's go to our server. Where's the server? HTTP MCP. Okay, here it is. Let me just start it one more time, and then let's see what will happen. Or I can also execute the file using Python, which is a better approach, which is this one. So I can just open a new terminal, and let me just start the file with Python instead of running it from there. Python, and then let me just get the path. Copy relative path, which is nice. Let me just run this. Oh, this is running fine. Okay, this is running fine. Do I have the list of tools? Yes. Fetch HTTP, and I have this one as well. Fetch data, and the properties is also fine. String. Okay, so this is working fine. Makes sense. Let me just now include this. Let's see what will happen. Oh, I see. I know MCP server config. I think I know the issue. I think I know the issue. Let me just retry it with Python. Okay, let's hit enter. Okay. So I think I know the issue. Here I have literally created all of the things within the same JSON. So I think I know the issue. So I can just do it like this. I can remove this, Control X, and within this I can do it like this, maybe like this, maybe I'm not sure. Let's test, because these are some curly braces issue. Okay, so it can happen. Let's see. Otherwise I can, because I do not think so it should fail, because usually I put all of my MCPs within the same JSON, but let's try, because when we do not know the issue, we have to say track back. So let me just say clear, hit enter, then let's run the file. Let's see if the error comes. Yes, so that was first of all wrong. I was like, we never do this, but let's do it. So that is not correct. First of all, we cannot write it like this. We have to write it the way that we were writing. Then what is wrong? Then let me just debug it. Let me just find the root cause. So bro, I have literally found the root cause. And you know what? It is such a silly mistake, such a typo. Remember when we just when we were just typing our code, we put our STDIO location as this one HTTP MCP. And I just took the suggestion by LLM. Basically, the STDIO server is this, not this one, right? So we need to change the name. So I will literally say first MCP server, then STDIO, and this is not everything. Okay, why? Because we just took this name when we were just running the file from the chapter 1, but currently we are running the file from here. So we have to use this name, this entire name. Oh, okay, this name. And here I will simply replace this particular code with this one. Now what will happen? This is .vnv. Now I do not need to go inside .vnv. I need to go inside chapter 2. So I will simply say chapter 2 HTTP MCP. Makes sense? And then I can further add, not chapter 2 bro, again chapter 2, chapter 1, right? Chapter 1 and create MCP. It is suggesting me, it is not me. It is suggesting me this code. HTTP, and then I have the file name, the first MCP server, like this. I hope it makes sense what we did. We literally just went there at the root directory and then we just selected this file. Okay, very good. This happens when you just run the code, okay, in debugging mode in the development environment. This is why we have development environment. That is why we have this development environment. Let's test it for one more time and make sure your HTTP server is running. Mine is running, so I can just literally test it again. So now I will just run this command in a new terminal because in the different terminal my MCP server is running. So I'll say Python Langchain client.py, and I have got a big response. I think it has fetched all the tools. So let's confirm. Fetch is there, which is coming from your STDIO. Okay, so this is also there. Okay, process is also there. Then I have fetch HTTP. Okay, very good. And perfect. I have all the tools. I have all the 4 tools now. Very good. That's how you can just combine. That's how you can just combine your all of the MCP servers, whether it is like running on Streamable HTTP, STDIO, anything. Okay. And in the production, we literally combine more and more MCP servers, more and more tools to your agentic workflows. Yes. So I hope it makes sense how to create a client using Python, and obviously how to create client using Langchain, which is a better approach with both MCP servers and not MCP, like STDIO server and HTTP streamable MCP servers. Make sense? But this is just like very, you can say, ground level thing, because yes, you write a lot of MCP servers, but in the industry you would be using a lot of MCP servers from the third-party service providers, from the application providers. For example, if we just discussed in our architecture how to use MCP servers from the application provider, let's say Oracle, Synapse, or whatever application provider. First thing. Second is, sometimes these MCP servers are not created by the application. Maybe they are busy, maybe they do not have any time, maybe they didn't put much efforts to build that. So in those scenarios, community of developers, GitHub, okay, very popular repository. So they create their own MCP servers and they share it with the community, which is the best way to find the MCP servers for our needs. We will see how to use MCP server from a service provider, and we will also see how to use the MCP server from the community, because both are very, very important. And in both the scenarios, you will be just working with different scenarios, because when we use community-based MCP servers, we work with STDIO-based servers, and when we just work with service providers directly, we use streamable HTTP. But now, all of the fundamentals, all of the concepts are crystal clear. You have even built your own MCP server. So now you will be able to understand that part as well. Make sense? So now let's see how we can actually work with these kinds of scenarios. Okay, let's see. So now let's talk about an amazing thing, which is called using third party, or let's say community MCPs. Because in the real world, you would be using a lot of community MCPs. Because obviously you can build everything, but if there is already a very well coded MCP built for you, why you need to build the same thing from scratch? That is another big advantage of using community MCP. For example, let's say you just want to build something, okay, and here you just want to add some search capabilities within your MCP, within your basically whatever tools you are using. So obviously you can just build your own functions and you have just almost everything, but you are still missing this particular piece, which is called, let's say, search capabilities for your model, for your, let's say, agent. But then you got to know, let me just explore community. Do we have an existing MCP built for the search capabilities, or do I need to build it from scratch? If there is no MCP, then obviously you need to build. But what if I say that there is an MCP, let's say this is an MCP, and this is an MCP, let's say, built by any community, any other person, okay? But because this MCP is available, let's say, on GitHub, on any open source platform, then obviously anyone can use it, right? Let's say these people can use it, and you can also use it. And obviously you need to just check everything is fine. You can just also check the stars of that particular GitHub repo and everything. That is like basic thing that you would just check, and you can also test it in your local environment. So this MCP is already built by someone, but this MCP is available as open source MCP, and this is actually well written. Everything is like taken care of, and all the edge cases are covered, and everything is nice. So why you need to just build something from scratch? A very good example, let's take a very common MCP. Let's take an example of, let's say, DuckDuckGo search, which is a very popular search engine we use whenever we are building anything. We also have Google, but Google one is paid, okay, and we are not using paid services here, but you can also go with that. Don't worry, I will just also show you one paid one as well. So let's go with DuckDuckGo search, okay? So I will say DuckDuckGo search MCP. And I think there's a there's a GitHub MCP for this one, because obviously DuckDuckGo search doesn't provide their own MCP, but a developer has built this particular MCP using his own time. Simple. That is not built by, you can say, DuckDuckGo search. Okay, so let me just open this one, and it has 1,000+ stars, so obviously it would be nice. And you can also read some existing issues if there are any. If not, you can simply go with it, okay? And it was, I think, updated 2 weeks ago, so that is also good. So DuckDuckGo search, how can I just go with this particular thing? How to just use this code? That is the main thing of this particular section. So whenever you will just see any MCP server, you will see two options, UVX and NPX, okay? Let me just write it here. It can be, let's say, let's keep these users here. So it will be, let's say, UVX or NPX. So as you know that these are the most popular options that we just keep within our development, which is like Python and Node. So if you are building something with Python, okay, then you can just simply go with UVX. If you are building something with Node, then people use NPX to deploy their package. And do not worry, I will also show you how to deploy your MCP. Do not worry at all. So let's say this is Node. But the beauty of MCP is you can literally use any, either UV or NPX. Why? Because see, let's say you are building an MCP, then obviously you need to pick one, either Python or Node, because you need to deploy this particular service in your repository of packages. It can be PyPI if you are using Python. It can be NPM if you are using Node. But when you are using MCP, you do not need to worry at all. Why? Because you just need to install Python in your system and Node in your system, because NPX will automatically run the package for you. If you remember our previous section where we in this video, the previous section where we just ran a module called Inspector. In that Inspector, we literally ran NPX and the package name. What that command did? NPX literally downloaded the package from the npm repository and loaded into my machine, and it ran it locally. Simple. Similarly, here with UVX, when I just read this particular statement, what this command will do, this will download this package. This package would be available in PyPI, I'm so sure. And then this UVX will download this package locally for us, and whenever we need to call it, it will call it automatically. I can also show you. Let's say, let me just paste this, and then let me just write PyPI. And I can go to PyPI repository. Yeah, see, there's a you can say proper package. So this package was deployed by someone into the public repository, which is PyPI, very popular, very common repository where we just push all of our packages, Python packages, and from here we can download it using UVX. Oh, okay. So this is the command. But do we have the straightforward JSON that we can use? Obviously, just scroll down. There would be a JSON as well, because that is the most popular way to distribute any MCPC. So now I can just take this JSON and I can literally put it in my, you can say, client. This is the exact JSON that I need. Let me just copy it and let's create a new chapter, and let's say chapter 3. Let's say third party MCPs. Simple. And within that, let me just create a new file. Let me just say community mcp.py. Simple. And let me just paste the code here and we can just refer it after that. So this is my MCP. Simple. This is my MCP. Now I want to use this MCP. Obviously. Now in order to use MCP, you already know how to just create the client. How to create the client with Langchain. You have this particular MCP server. Okay. Now you just need to modify it to your JSON that you use for your Langchain, and that's it. That is it. Let me show you. If I just get the code from the Langchain, so it will be here, Langchain client. Let me just copy and paste it here, and I will just paste it, let's say here. Now if you see, I have literally imported everything. Let me just put it at the top. Perfect. Now this particular MCP server is running with STDIO. How do I know? Because as you can see, it is running by UVX. There is no URL involved here. There is no HTTP request involved here. Oh, so we also need to make sure that we are using command and arguments. Now tell me one thing. Is it a very big deal? Is it a very big deal to convert this JSON into this JSON? Not at all. I just need two things. Because I already know that this is also STDIO based. I just need command. Now what is the command? Command is UVX. Because now we do not need to provide this path. Why? Because now it will not use my Python executable, which is my virtual environment. It will use global UVX to automatically download the package and then run it using standard input output. Simply say UVX, okay, in double quotes like this. Then what is the argument? Argument means the command that we need to just add after UVX, the package name. Package name is this one, DuckDuckGo search. That is it. That is it. Yes, that is it. Your client is ready. Bro, your client is ready. Let me just remove all of the unnecessary stuff. I can even remove this one. And this is my client ready. I can also show you. If I just run this file, I should see all of the tools available by this particular MCP. Okay, let's see what are the tools available. And I can also say available tools. And let's say tools of, should I just fetch the tools list only instead of just seeing everything? Let's say, or it's fine. We can just clean it after that because I do not remember the structure of the output. Let me just run this thing and let's wait. Okay, so this is the output. I can see a lot of things. Wow. So here's the structure name. First of all, I have the tool called search. Wow. Okay, I have the tool called search, and I can also quickly say length of tools instead of just printing everything. Let's run it. Length of tools. So how many tools do we have? 2. I just have 2 tools. What are the 2 tools? The first tool is somewhere here, search. So the first tool is search, and description is very well written. That's why it is like a big response. Description is this one. See, search the web using DuckDuckGo returns a list of results with titles, URL snippets. Use this to find current information, research topics, to locate specific websites, and so on. All of these things like this. Wow, makes sense. And then there would be like second tool. It's called fetch content. Okay, so these are the 2 tools that I have. 2 tools. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Very good. So So I hope it makes sense, bro. I hope it makes sense. If I just say, let's say tools and then 0, then let's say name. Let's see if we get the name. Yeah, see, so first tool name is search. I can also run a loop. Let's say just to print the tool names, because it is very difficult to find those tools. For tool in tools, and I will simply say tool dot name. Perfect. And let's clear the content. Now let's run it. So there are two tools, search and fetch content. Wow, simple. Now if I just want to make any call to these tools, I can. Let me just show you. So let's say I want to call a tool, and I just want to say, let's say fetch data. Okay, and I need to pass this particular input to what? Fetch data. But I want to use search. Let's say search. Okay, why did I just use query? Because it is written in the output that I have to use this argument. I'll simply say what is the capital of France, and that's it. Let's see what do we get, and I will simply say clear, and now let's run it. Multi-server cloud, there is no object call tool. Okay, so wait. Oh, okay. So the function name is obviously different. What did I click? Output terminal. Okay, fine. So there's no function called call tool. I'll be like, it will be something else, because they just keep on Langchain, keep on changing their names. So I think it would be I can just check the Langchain documentation for that. Not a big deal. Call tool MCP Langchain. So let's see this thing. And what is that function, bro? We just need function. Okay, get tools is here. Okay, get tools is here. Okay. Oh, obviously, I think it is invoke. Because whenever we just convert any function into tool in Langchain, we just simply use invoke. Let me just use invoke. Let me just hit the play button. What? It should be there. I think so. But I think we are not invoking it through the tool. Okay, that makes sense, because we are not invoking it through tool. So I think so. I think it should work. Makes sense. Wait. Let me just comment it out. And because invoke is a native function of Langchain, it is not a native function to client that I'm just using. So I can literally fetch a tool like a normal tool. So let's say fetch tool is equals to tools of 0. That means the first tool. And then I can say result equals await, and then fetch tool dot a invoke, because of asynchronous behavior. And if I just try this thing, let's say print this as well. So let's see. Oh yes, finally I got the answer. See, so this is the available tool, and this is the result. See, found 9 search results, Paris, Wikipedia, and all the URLs. This is the response that I have got from the tool itself. Okay, makes sense. So I can literally remove this code, and you can literally fetch the tool like this, because a invoke and invoke are native functions to Langchain. So whenever you see the documentation, you will also see that they always make the API calls, or whatever calls they just make, they make it through the agent. If I just show you, let's say, see, so here they have just created the tools, and then they just created the agent. So agent automatically fetches it. See, agent.a invoke, and it will automatically fetch the tools. So they do not just make the API calls through the client. So we do not need to worry about that. Client is just for the connection. Once the client is made, then we do not need to run anything inside the client. Client is like done. And we also did the same. Client is this thing. Then we do not need to use client at all. And then we can simply fetch the tools, and that's it. Because that's all we want. We do not need anything else. Simple. We do not need anything else. We simply registered everything from the tools from here, and we simply saved it. And we handed over that information to our agent. But here, we simply fetch the tool manually, because we are not building agent here. So we simply fetch the tools like this. Let's say this is our tool. So we got the tools and we saw the tools as well, all of the information as well. And we handed over those tools to our manual developer, let's say like this. And then we just made the call. But agent can automatically pick this thing because these tools are native to Langchain. Remember? So that's how you can just utilize the community driven MCPs that we have. And you can actually save your time instead of just creating everything from scratch. You can just explore a bit, and if you just find an MCP, and to be honest, in the today's era, you can literally find MCP for literally everything. So just explore. If you find an MCP, just read some obviously the commands, just check the module, just check the issues in the GitHub. If everything is fine, use it. Simple, because you will write the exact same code. There's nothing new in that. Make sense? So that's how you can just use the MCP server from the community. Now let's see how we can just use the MCP from the paid service providers, basically the applications, or you can say application providers who write their own MCP. A very good example of this particular thing is, I think, Tavily MCP server. Tavily is amazing search engine which is an alternative to DuckDuckGo search. And it is not just an alternative. Tavily actually is a very good example if you just want to mimic Google search. It will literally provide you the answer, and you can do crawling as well. Same with Google search engine. So it is an absolutely amazing thing, but it is paid. But you also get some free credits. So simply search here Tavily MCP server, and this will be their documentations. Perfect. And if you do not have any API key, you can click here, get an API key. You will get an API key. This is paid, but you get some free credits. Let's say I think 1000 free credits every single month, and they just renew it every single time. Okay, so you can get an API key for free. Okay, and then just play around it, and then you can just utilize this API, because we would need API in our authorization. Simple. And by the way, how do we just authorize our MCPs? Same way we authorize our HTTP request. So I can also show you. There's a very good example here. Just scroll down. See, if we have anything, we just need to create one more key after URL, which is headers authorization, and we can just pass our JWT token. And if we are using API, then most probably you will be just embedding the API within the request as well, like within the URL. So here, let's see how we need to use the MCP from Tavily. So remote MCP server, yes, we want to use remote MCP server. Okay, this is the URL. Okay, and API key, see, they are also using the API key within the URL itself. Makes sense. So if I just want to go to, let's say, not OpenAI, remote MCPs. Okay, so I just need, so they have two options. You can even run it from npx. Okay, or you can even run it from their direct URL as well. So that is also fine. Authentication, this is also good. Local installation, we do not need local installation, we just need remote MCP. So these are all of the things that we can just use, and I can just take this particular JSON, that's all I need, and I can just copy it, and let's actually see how we can just create this thing. So I will simply create, let's say, Tavily mcp.py, and this is my JSON. Simple. And how do we create client with remote MCP servers? You already know. Let me just get the code, which is this one that we just wrote, and I can paste it here. Perfect. And here I do not, wait, what did I just paste? I think this is the client. Perfect. So here we do not need to add our previous MCP servers. We will just add a new one. Okay, so let me just remove this one, and this will, I will say, Tavily. Perfect. And transport Streamable HTTP. And here, instead of just writing my local host URL, I will use this URL, which is not, you can say, local URL. This is productionized deployed MCP server. Make sense? Okay. And I can also get this particular code, because whenever we are just running MCP with API, we have to pass the API key as well. Yes, because this particular JSON doesn't have any kind of, you can say, authentication, but we would need this thing. Why? Because we need to just create a client with that particular thing, right? So now how we can just pass this particular you can say API. First of all, you would need to get the API from the you can say your Tevili portal. Once you have that, you can create one .env file in the root of the project like this, because you should never hard code any kind of API secrets in your code. Just create one .env and you can just write it here. Let's say Tevili API key, and you can just paste it here, your key. Okay, let's say here you can just put your key. I will just paste it my key here, and you can just paste your key. Okay, so I have just pasted my API key, and here I can just import it. How we can just import the API key? It's very simple. You just need to use a package called from .env import load.env. Then we just need to call the function load.env. This will make all of the variables available in my environment which are saved here in the .env. Simple, cool. Now I can simply write my API key the same way it is written in the documentation. Where is this thing? Okay, so this is a query parameter in the API request. Perfect. So here I can just put it the same way, Tevili API key, and I can just fetch it from the os.getEnvironment. os.getEnvironment is a function that we use whenever you just want to get the environment variables, and this is the same environment variable that I have created in the .env. Simple. And this .env file will be used to populate all of my environment variables like this, and that is it. Let's test this one as well. Okay, let's test this one as well. Like, how many tools do we have in this client, or basically server? Clear. And let's run this. Wow. So how many tools do we have? Let me just say length, so that we can see the length of tools, basically the size. I'm expecting much more because this is a paid MCP server. Obviously they would have created an amazing MCP server for their product. 5. See, so we have 5 functions that we can just use in our MCP client. Let's see what are the options that do we have. So I will say for tool and tool.name. Perfect. Let's see. Tevili search, obviously. Tevili extract, Tevili crawl. Crawl is for like crawling the web pages. Okay. Tevili map and Tevili research. Tevili research is actually a very good one, because you can actually make some calls where you can literally perform some research related papers and all. So let's test Tevili search. Let's see what do we get. Okay, because I want to test it. So here I can say tool search equals to, let's say like this, tool.name. Do we need to say 0? Yeah. So that is a better way, dynamic way to just get the search tool. And it is not search, it is Tevili search. Okay, simple. And then I can say result equals to a invoke. Yes, perfect. And I can just print it. Let's see what do we get. Okay, perfect. I have got the response. Perfect. And this response is actually well curated as compared to DuckDuckGo search. DuckDuckGo search is also very good, but DuckDuckGo search is like a free service which is available. When you are using paid service, you obviously get some better results. So this is the answer that we have got. And why I was able to make this API call? Because I have the API key. Okay, otherwise it would not be possible, because you have to pass the API key. So sometimes when you just use API tokens or API keys in your request, you do not need to pass a special header, because API keys can be embedded within the URL itself. Simple. But in some MCP service providers, they just ask for a special JWT or any kind of API key in the header itself. It depends how they have built the application, how they have built the MCP server. Simple. Makes sense. Okay. So it depends like how they have just configured it. But yeah, you can also do it. It's not a big deal. So it's up to you how you just want to create that thing. Okay, so they have just used a query parameter, not a big deal. So if you have some knowledge in API, you would know that this is a query parameter, and they would have written the logic where they are literally fetching this exact variable. So do not change it. If you just say, let's say underscore, it will fail. Okay, if they haven't managed the code very well. So this is all about using third-party MCP service providers, free, paid, community, everything. Now you have a clear picture how to integrate MCPs from the third parties. Make sense? Make sense? Now it's time to actually discuss how to create our own MCP server which is deployable, which can be shared with community. Let's say you are building something maybe for your internal organization or maybe even for the community, how you can just contribute in those scenarios, how you can just build your own MCP which is shareable. For example, I just went to this GitHub because obviously in this competitive world you have to show your work, right? So let's say this MCP is built by this person. Okay, this person would say, hey, I have just built this MCP server and this is the configuration that you can use and blah 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 blah. How you can do that? How you can just create these commands, how you can just create these packages, how you can just deploy this, because this is deployed, right? This is deployed to PyPI. Make sense? So how you can just make your own community MCP server. Let's talk about that thing, because that is something which is a kind of very special thing. If you know this thing, you can literally outperform in, you can say, competitions, in actually the race that everyone is just, you can say, I don't want to use that word, but yeah, you got the instinct. So you can actually just get out of that particular race and you can outshine in this particular competitive world. Make sense? Because now you know how to create, how to make your MCP servers available to the community. Obviously, it is like such a big deal when you just share your MCP servers and you just share your work with the people. You cannot say, bro, I built MCP server and this is the code. Let me just show you. See, this is my MCP server. Wow. Bro, you need to make it available. You need to deploy to GitHub. Okay. You need to just make sure that everyone can use it. If you just want to highlight your work, okay. And sometimes you build the MCP servers which will be used internally within your organization. Then also you need that. Let's see how we can just also do this thing. Okay, let's see. So now let's see how we can just build our package. First of all, you need to open an empty folder for this particular piece. Why? Because whenever you just work with different things, okay, it can just create a mess, because this is totally a different project that we are building, because we will be just deploying this thing, right? Plus we also need to make sure that it does not create a conflict between your existing UV package or UV project. So that is why it is a recommended approach that you should create a separate folder, and you can just name it anything. I have named it, let's say, MCP PyPI. So just make sure that you have a separate folder for this. Makes sense? It can be anything. And this section is very important, and this section is actually tilted more towards how to create Python package, how to deploy Python package. So just be more focused here. And this particular section of the video, I can say, like, it is one of the most important section when you want to know how to deploy your packages, Python packages. Okay, so do not worry, I will just tell you the most you can say updated approach, because earlier we used to follow an approach using setup tools.py file and all, but now as you can see, UV is the recommended approach. So I will be just sharing all of the things with UV. So just be with me, just see how to do the things step by step. Okay, let's see. So first of all, I need to start my project from scratch. I will say UV init. Perfect. It will initialize the project. Everyone knows this thing? Very good. Now I will not say UV sync, because I need to make sure some extra additional things. So I will simply go to my toml file. This is the backbone of my entire project. When we deploy anything, this becomes the backbone of it. But when we are just simply developing, it doesn't matter much because we simply use it to download the packages. But when we need to deploy it, this is the most important thing. First thing first, we will be just making so many iterations into this file. The very first iteration that I want to make is I want to change the name of my project. By default, it will automatically take the name of my parent folder, which is this one, MCP PyPI. But when I'll be just deploying my package to PyPI repository, I do not want this name. This is not a good name. I just want to keep the name, like it should be like meaningful, right? For example, pandas, for example, numpy. So these are like meaningful names. Now, if I'm just deploying a package for, let's say I'm creating an MCP. What type of MCP? So I should just provide that name. In my case, I have created a very quick code. Okay, I haven't spent much time on it, so do not judge, hey, what type of code you have written, what kind of code you are deploying. I'm simply telling you how to do the things. That's it. And by the way, I have created a very light version of Claude code. Okay, so I'll simply say agentic terminal. Okay, and do not worry, I will just share the code with you. You can enhance it, you can just do whatever you want. And yeah, because I just wrote it very quickly so that you can just simply see the code, and that's it. Makes sense. And I can just add a description here. I will say a terminal based agentic interface, or I can say an MCP which can, or which adds the terminal capabilities to an agent. Yes, I will just show you the code. It is like very good code. Like the purpose is very good. We just want to create our own light version of Claude code, because when we have our own Claude code, we have like full, you can say, control. We can tweak it, we can do whatever we want. Plus we can just use it with open source language models. We can just install it on our system and it should just work fine. But yeah, so this is everything. First of all, we just change the name. Okay, second thing is we can just change the version. For now, I will just keep it 0.1. But as, let's say, I'm just creating more and more iterations to my package. Okay, I can just keep on changing the version 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, and people can simply download it. Simple, very good. So this is good. Now what I want to create my environment. I will say UV sync, hit enter, my virtual environment is created. Very good. And as you know, we need to add one package which is called fast MCP. Simply say UV add fast MCP. Perfect. My fast MCP is downloaded. Very good. Now what do I need to do? I need to write my MCP file, right? So how will I just do it? Whenever you want to create a deployable code, we should always create a folder called source. Okay, within this source folder, I will create another folder, but before creating that folder, I will create a special file called __init__.py. This is that file which automatically detects that this folder is actually a kind of package and not just the folder. Okay, very good. Then at the same level, I will create the main folder of my package, and I will just call it as same thing, which is agentic terminal. That's it, like this, simple. And it should match with my project name. It is not compulsory that it should match, but ideally it should match because it makes more sense, because this is your package name, right, that you are just deploying. So whenever person would be using, let's say, any package, for example, let's say you are using pandas. Pandas is the package name, right? You say UV add pandas or pip install pandas. Make sense? But when you use pandas, how do you use it? You write import pandas as PD. Yes. If you do not write import pandas as PD, if let's say if I do not keep the name same of this folder, and if I just write something else, let's say pandas functions. So it doesn't make any sense. Like you downloaded pandas and then you are just using it as import pandas functions. Like it creates a mess in the code. So simply keep the name same between this and this. Okay, very good. So this is my folder, and within this folder I will create my code. Okay, and before that, yes, I have to create init.py file here as well. Simple, very good. Now let's create our main file which has the source code, which has the real code. I will say agentic terminal. I can just make a very normal name. I can also say, let's say tools.py. It makes more sense. Okay, because I have all the tools listed here. And let me just bring the code and let me just show you. And again, this is just a like simple code. Do not judge anything. Okay. So this is my tools. So what I have done, let me just show you. So these are all of the functions that I have created. Okay. All of the functions, and these functions literally perform everything for you, or basically for your agent. If let's say I want to run any bash command, it will just use this tool. If I just want to run any Python code, it will use this. If I just want to execute any Python file, it will use this. And globe, grep, all of the things that agent would need to just work directly with your code base. And I just tested it, it was working amazing. So I was like, wow. So you can literally perform some lightweight stuff. Let's say you want to say, hey, could you please create a Python file for me, or could you please run this Python file for me with this code? I want to fetch this. It will literally do anything, because I can attach any LLM will write the code, and this will execute it with the help of these tools. And it can actually interact with your code base, because it has, let's say, functions called delete folder, create folder, write file, read file, grep, globe, Python file, Python code, bash code, everything. So it is actually very good. Okay, just a light version of Claude code for your Python projects. Okay, and literally feel free to improve it if you just want to collaborate on this one. It is like written literally very fast, just to show you a kind of real world MCP that we can deploy. Okay, just for that purpose, do not judge. So let me just convert all of these functions into tools. I will say from fast MCP import fast MCP, and let me just create the object MCP equals fast MCP, and then I can simply add MCP tool, and here MCP.tool, MCP.tool. I think I have 8 to 9 tools, which is good. MCP.tool, MCP.tool, MCP.tool. Perfect. So all these tools are converted into tools. Now, this is my tools. These are my core tools. I want to obviously distribute it, first thing. But I will not run these tools from the same file, which is not a very good way. Why? Because let me tell you, for now, you just have only one Python file, just these tools. Let's say in future, we just expand these tools, or let's say we just add more and more functionality to our agentic terminal. You can say your module. So in that particular scenario, we never just run the main thing of our package through the same file. We should always create a main file into the root of our project. What is the root of our project? Some people would say the root is this one. Logically, yes, but we do not keep source as our root. Do you know why? Because does it make sense if you import it like this, from source dot something something something? It doesn't look good. So yes, logically, source is the root of the entire project, but we change it in the toml file and we make this as our root. Okay, not as this our root, because this is the only folder within this. So what I will do, I will simply say, hey, only pick those packages, okay, only pick those folders which are inside source folder. Okay, and the recommended way is you should only keep one folder within the source, which will be the main package name for your module, and within this folder you can create multiple subfolders if you want to. Okay, if you want to, and the main file should exist inside this folder. Oh, okay. So currently we have just one file, tools.py, but you can have multiple folders as well instead of just tools file, right? And there will be just one main file which will just start the package. This is a, you can say, industry standard that we follow. Just main file in this root, and then all the subfolders, all the files in the hierarchy. Simple. So I can create main here, main.py. Okay, main.py. Do not be confused between this main, because this main is of no use. I can also delete it. Okay, simply delete it, because we keep everything inside this source folder. Why? Because we package literally the entire thing within this. Nothing apart from this folder, nothing. Okay, so that's why you should always keep everything here. So this is my main.py and this is my tools. So now I want to import this file. So I can just do, let's say, from tools and then import MCP. But I will not do this. I will simply import everything from the root, because when I will deploy my package, when I will just deploy the entire module, this will be my starting point. Make sense? So I should always refer to any location from the root. This makes the deployment easy. Simply say from agentic terminal dot tools. Why dot tools? Because I have tools file. Then import MCP. Simple. Good. Very good. Now I can literally run MCP. I can say def main, which is my main function, and then I can say MCP dot run, and then transport equals to STDIO. Make sense? I hope it makes sense. So I have imported MCP from the tools file, and now I can just simply run this thing. And I can also add this if __ name if I just want to test it, but this is like optional. Okay, now your MCP is done. Your MCP is done. I can also run it if you just want to. Let me just run this file. It should run my MCP. Let's wait. And no module named agentic terminal, obviously, because currently it will not run this line because we have not deployed it. So just for now, I can just write from tools import MCP, because we are just testing our MCP but not the package. So now let's run it for one more time. Let's see. Yes, it is running fine. That means our MCP code is right. There's nothing wrong in that, right? And we just wanted to test it. Very good. So now we know this is running fine. So I can just simply remove it. Very good. And I will just keep this file name. Now this MCP is good. This MCP is good. Now we need to just create a bundle. How we can just do it? Let me just tell you. So just hold your breath and now you will see the real magic. All the magic, as I just mentioned, is inside this project.toml file. Okay, so this is the basic definition that you always keep with you. Okay, makes sense. Basic definition like dependencies, and if any kind of you can say library you want to install, everything. Okay, now let's see how you can just add the package. So I will simply say, first of all, what is the role of this particular thing? I need to make sure that the code that I am running from here, I am able to run this code because this code lives in my local system. How you will be able to run this particular code, that is the entire goal. That is the entire goal, right? So I need to package this entire code, this entire folder, so that anyone in this world can write from agentic terminal dot tools import MCP. Anyone who has this package, obviously, but without moving my code, because I'm not just sending you the code via, you can say, messages or anything. I'm literally deploying my code. So first thing first, I need to create the, you can say, build, like from where I want to build my package. And for that, we always use a very good package. It's called tool dot setup tools. So what is this tool dot setup tools? Setup tools is actually a very popular way to just create a package of your code. So I will simply say, pick all the packages inside the source folder. See, remember my point when I just said we will simply make this particular agentic terminal as our root, because I will say only search for the packages inside source folder. If I say here dot, then it will literally treat this source folder as well as my package, but I do not want that because it doesn't look good when you just type the code. So I will simply say source. Very good. Make sense? So it will literally create the packages for all of the subfolders that I have, or basically the folder and then subfolders, everything, all the packages will be created. But in order to use setup tools, I have to say build system. Why do we need to use build system? Build system is very important. Without it, it will not work. So build system. What is this build system? It tells like how I want to build my package. I want to use setup tools and wheel. These are the two packages that I would need while building my package. I can write setup tools here as well. It will work, but I will not be using setup tools while running my code. So that is why I do not write this thing here. I always write this thing under build system, and this command is also very important to build your package, because it will make sure that your package is downloadable. It can be installed via UVX command and all. Make sense? Okay, so two things are done. First is our source, second thing is build. Okay, two things are done. The final thing is how I want to start my you can say MCP server, because this particular code is good. You can literally use this particular agentic terminal package and it will work fine. Let me just show you first of all that. So if I just go here, if I just save it, and if I, let's say let's add that thing as well, because it is not a big deal. So let's say now you want to start your MCP server as well. Till now you can use all of the functions from here. You can import it from everywhere. You can literally import MCP, everything is fine. But remember, whenever we use MCP server, we need to make sure that users can literally run the MCP servers with just one command. That's where the role of startup command comes into the picture. Okay, so I will simply say project.scripts. This command makes sure that whenever you write any command, for example, in my case, I want to write this command, agentic terminal. So whenever I or anyone write this command, what it should do? It should literally go inside this agentic terminal folder, and within this I have main file, and within that I have main function. Simply run that function whenever someone writes this command in the terminal. Oh, okay. Makes sense. Very good. Because whenever someone will type, let's say UVX and agentic terminal, okay, agentic terminal, then it will download that particular package, agentic terminal package, from the PyPI, and it will literally run this command. Now, a very good question can be asked, Ansh, Lamba, when I write this, when I write UVX and if I write agentic terminal, this means that I am using UVX to manage my packages, to download my packages. Very good. This is the package name. To download this package makes sense that UVX will just go to PyPI. It will download that package for me in my local system, and that's it. How UVX would know my startup command? Because this command, this agentic terminal command, how does it know? How? So very good question. So here, when you just write UVX agentic terminal, it would assume automatically that package name and startup command. Package name is here at the top that we have defined, and this is the startup command. It would assume that both are same. Oh, but if you write something else here, let's say your package name is agentic terminal, and if you just write, let's say agentic terminal start, let's say you just wrote this command, then this command agentic terminal will fail. It will not work. Then you have to write this command UVX from agentic terminal, which is your package name, right? And then the startup command. Startup command will be agentic terminal and start, whatever. Oh, so that is why in the industry we do not write any different startup command. Ideally it should be exactly the same, but you can do this. It's not a big deal. But again, it will be not very friendly on the user perspective. From the user's perspective, they will be simply saying, hey, how to just find a startup command? We do not know this thing, whatever. Okay, so that is why we do not just keep any different startup command. Now everything is packaged. Yes, literally everything is packaged. Now let me just show you what will happen. Now we literally need to go to the terminal, and here I will run a special command of UV, which is called UV build. Okay, hit enter. This will build my code. It will literally build this dist folder. This dist folder is the standard practice that we use with all of the packages, all of the runtimes with Node, with Python, everything. So this is the dist folder that it has created. If you open this thing, you will see two things. The first is wheel, Python wheel. Second thing is Python tar file. Wheel is such a highly distributed format of any Python code because wheel is what? Now, do you know what is inside this wheel or this tar file? You can even open it to just go to any browser and simply search for wheel converter. You will see that this wheel, this tar file has literally your code, and you know what you will see? You will see this thing, agentic terminal folder, and within that you will see this main file and tools file. Wow. Yes, you will see this thing. Oh, and that is why I have written this command, startup command, agentic terminal.main, because now it only sees this folder. It has no knowledge about source or any other folder. It will literally treat everything from the root agentic terminal.main, and inside this main folder. Are you getting my point? And if you just want to check what you have actually, you can literally go to any, let's say, just copy this file, .wheel file into any other folder. Okay. Just rename this particular wheel and remove .whl and just change it to .zip, none any .zip instead of none any .wheel. You will see a folder, zip folder. Just double click on it. You will see this folder agentic terminal like this, literally agentic terminal. And within that you will see only, let me just show you, let me just open it in my PC. If I can just show you, wait, perfect. So here, let's say this is my folder. Okay, I have just renamed it agentic terminal, none any, and then I have just simply put .zip. If I double click on this, I will see what? Agentic terminal. See, agentic terminal. Wow. If I double click on it, I will see main and tools. Why? Because I had this init.py. It treated this as a package and it simply bundled everything. Wow. Makes sense? Makes sense. Now this wheel is actually the entire folder agentic terminal. Now just tell me one thing. If anyone has this wheel file, can that person access this folder? Yes. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to do, and I will just show you. So for now, what I will do, now I will install this package locally in this my virtual environment, because this is not deployed to PyPI yet. We should first test it locally. So now in order to install this package in my, you can say, virtual environment, I will say uv pip install e in the edit mode and simply say dot. Why dot? Dot means in the current directory I have this dist folder, so it will automatically pick this dist folder and it will download it in my virtual environment. Okay, this is the first way. You can also click on this thing and right click on the path and you can say uv pip install and provide that path. Both works. And then I can say hit enter. Now it will build the package and it will install it in my virtual environment. Now it is installed in my virtual environment. I can just show you. If I just expand it, if I go to library, I should see agentic terminal. See, wow. Agentic terminal is actually added in my virtual environment. Literally, wow. That means this entire folder, agentic terminal, can be accessed now from anywhere. I can show you. See, I will create a file called test.py. Okay. Now what I will do, I will say from, or not just from, I can literally write, let's say from, yeah, just from agentic terminal. Okay, dot tools import MCP. Let's say I just want to run this particular server from this file. Just tell me one thing, this is common sense. If I'm running test.py, do I have any folder called agentic terminal here? Any folder? No, because agentic terminal is inside source. But still I can just write this agentic terminal. Why? Because this package is available in my virtual environment. Now I do not need to take care of this source folder. I can even delete it. Because I have the bundle, I have this distributed code now, and this is installed in my virtual environment. I do not need this source folder now. I can literally delete it. Literally delete it. I can even rename it just for you. See, source, let's say delete it. I can still run this particular code and you will see it is blue for now. It is fine. It is fine because this package is there in my virtual environment. Make sense? Okay. So let's say import MCP and I will simply say MCP dot run transport equals to STDIO run. Let's try to run this particular code from here. If I say clear and if I just run it, no module named agentic terminal. Wow. Why? So I have found the issue. The issue is very simple, and by the way, nothing is wrong on our side. So what is wrong? So remember when we just downloaded the agentic terminal, how did we downloaded it? How? We literally added the you can say module using E means edit mode. That means whatever changes you make, it is like live changes, so it actually be reflected in the module, because this is a very generic practice in the development environment. But obviously we do not want that, because we are done with our development. So we will simply install the final version of our wheel, and we do not want any kind of live changes. Okay, so let me just delete all the packages. So just go to when and then library, and then just uninstall all the agentic terminal. There'll be like 1 or 2. So now it is good. I can simply check if I have it right now. So simply say uv pip list, and I should not see it here. Perfect, it is not there. Now I will reinstall it. But this time I will use uv pip install, and I will use the path, the hard coded path, not like hard coded, basically the snapshot of my wheel that I have created now without any kind of live changes. Okay, so literally say copy path, then hit enter. Now it will install the package. Now if I just go to this wheel, I know that I just have this folder, right? Agentic terminal. If the source folder is renamed, it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't matter at all. That is the advantage of using or basically installing the package from the real path, instead of just making live changes in the E mode, which is like very confusing. But yeah, so now because we have installed the snapshot of our package, now if I just run this thing, it should run fine. It should run my MCP server if everything is fine. Let's wait. Yes, now this is actually running my MCP server, and as you can see, I have literally used agentic terminal.tools, and there is no agentic terminals.tools here. See, I do not have any folder. Why I am able to do this? Because this particular package is now installed in my virtual environment directly, and you have just seen what is the content of that particular package: agentic terminal, tools, and main file. Boom. Now I want to show you the second part of it. First part is using the packages, using the tools, but usually we do not want to use tools, like we can, but what exactly I need to use? I literally need to start my MCP server whenever someone uses UVX command, right? So if I write agentic terminal, which is my startup command, as you can see it here, which is my startup command. See, this is my startup command. It will literally go inside this folder, agentic terminal. Within this folder, it will go to main file. Within the main file, it will go to main function. Wow. And we do not need to put here source. Why? You know this, because we have is literally written here that we are actually finding the packages inside source, not the source itself, inside source. Simple. Let's run this line. If this command runs fine, that means our MCP server is 100% fine. Hit enter. Boom. What actually did? It literally ran this file, this main file, whatever the content is. Some people, whenever they just build any package, they build some, you can say your CLI commands, or not just CLI commands, because CLI commands is like totally different thing, but they just create a startup command with which they can start the server on a port. Okay, so here I am literally using this particular STDIO command. If I just, let's say, use HTTP method, what I can do, I can simply say, hey, this is my startup command, and it will automatically start my server on a port called 8050 or whatever port. This is the way where all of the applications start their server automatically. If you are using, let's say, Apache Airflow, which is a very popular tool in the AI and data world, what they do, whenever we just start their package, we simply see everything running on a port. How? Because they have that particular, you can say, terminal command for us. Simple. So this is the command. Here you can literally write any code, and whatever code you will write here, this will be executed automatically when someone writes this command in the terminal. I hope it makes sense. Very good. Now you can distribute this wheel file to with your community, with your organization and everything. In the organization, you will only distribute this wheel file internally. Why? Because in the organization, you do not want to distribute your code. I don't know, because organization love to keep their code with them. I don't know why, but they do love. They do not want to share their code because they think that they have written the most beautiful code in the world and no one else can write it. So they just keep their code to themselves. Okay, it's their choice. Okay, we cannot do anything. But yeah, if you are just building the MCP server for your organization only, then you just need to create a wheel file and that's it. Because you do not want to host it anywhere. You do not want to host to PyPI. You just want to circulate it within your organization. So within the organization, what you can do, you can literally create a repository, private repository, Azure DevOps, GitHub private repository, anything, and everyone can pull that wheel file automatically. And you can also perform version control because there is a GitHub repository or Azure DevOps, then you can also perform that as well. If you just want to do the version control or anything, if you have some files or anything, literally anything. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Very good. But now some of you will say, hey, how we can just push this package to PyPI, we want to just push it. So yeah, now this section is for those who want to learn how to push this package to PyPI because this package is created. We just need to push it. Okay. And for that, you will need something. What those things? Let me just tell you. So if I just take you to my, let's say, browser, I think here, yeah. So simply go to any browser and search PyPI. So click here. Okay. So here you just need to create your account. Simply click on login or register. If you are new, click on register. If you already have an account, simply click on login and then you can just simply log in. If you are creating your account for the first time, then you will need to store one PyPI token, which is the most important thing because whenever you push anything to PyPI, it asks you for that particular credential. Okay, so just create your account. It's up to you how you want to create your account. Obviously, I do not want you to, I don't want to tell you, hey, how to create this account, how to click on this button, how to put your name. You can just create your account. It's very easy. Simply have that PyPI account and I assume that you have your PyPI account. Okay. Now let's see how we can just push our code to PyPI so that whenever anyone pulls our MCP server, any kind of code, it will automatically execute it. Simple. Let's see how we can just do it. So after creating your account, you just need to click on your profile. Okay. And then click on account settings, which is the most important area. Okay. And then after creating your, or basically clicking here account settings, then simply scroll down and then you just need to scroll down and need to find an area called API token. Okay. Like this, as you can see, this is the area where you can just create API tokens. If you do not have one, simply click on add API token because it will be gone once it will just show you and you can just keep it handy because you would need this API token. Once you have this API token, you are good to go. Okay. Let's keep this API token and let's move to our VS Code to actually push the changes. Okay, let's see. So I am here in my VS Code editor and now I want to push my changes to the PyPI. There are multiple ways. We can also use Twine, which is very popular solution. We can also use environment variables in PowerShell, which is the recommended approach. And I think you just need to create one environment variable in PowerShell. Okay, and then you can literally push the changes because there's an environment variable called UV publish token. If you have that particular environment variable set using PowerShell, you can push the changes. Okay, let's see. Let me just show you. So I will literally create first of all my environment variable. Okay, I can say $env and then .uv publish token. Keep everything in the capital letters. Why? Because capital letters makes more sense here in the PowerShell. It can work without, you can say, capital letters because automatically I think it will just change it to uppercase, but still keep it like this. Then you need to provide that token. Okay, let me just write that token value. Let me just paste it in double quotes. Okay, so I have done that and I have just written the clear command, but it has my environment variable in the terminal. Now I am good to go to publish my code finally, my changes to my PyPI. You can also just use it if you just want to. And now finally let's do it. Let me just say UV publish, hit enter. Now it is uploading my tar files and my wheel file to my projects. Are you excited to see what we have in our PyPI? Let me show you. So ta-da! These are my projects. First of all, ignore these two. Okay. By the way, I don't have anything inside this because I remember I was just playing around this thing, custom transformations and Lamba utils. I was just building something at that time. So simply ignore it. Okay. So this was like just a fun thing. I have literally removed everything. There's nothing inside that. But this is the most recent utility or package I have deployed called Agentic Terminal. And now it is available to every single person. I can literally show you. So this is my account, obviously, but now even if I just, let's say, search for this package, let me just open PyPI in a new browser, and if I just search for the package, let's say Agentic Terminal, I should see this thing. Sometime it can just take time just to be available to everyone, but yeah. Let me just see. I can just allow, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes just to be available everywhere. Okay. So let's see if that works. So once we have deployed our package like this, then it is available to every single person. I can click on it. Okay, I can click on manage as well. I can just view it as well if I want to. And this is the command. If anyone wants to download it, simply say pip install Agentic Terminal. Okay, if anyone wants to, let's say, use it with UV, simply say UV add Agentic Terminal. Wow. And it will be automatically downloaded to your virtual environment, and you can see released 2 minutes ago. Okay, and whenever you just write Agentic Terminal, automatically it will just download the latest version. If I would think just to improve it or just to make it like production ready, I will think about it. I will just make more and more changes. Okay, but feel free to just, if you just want to let's say create your own version, if you just want to put your contribution in this. So yeah, so my package is deployed. Okay, now I can literally pull this package like a normal thing, and I can just create an MCP server around it. Why? Because it is deployed. Now UVX command can search for this package and it can actually run anything. Wow. Now let's go to our working directory where we have the chapters. Then we will just create a client with this particular MCP server, and let's see if it works or not, because I am very excited because we have literally put so much of efforts just to reach here. Okay, let's see. So this is our old and gold working directory, MCP masterclass. So here let's create our chapter number 4. Okay, and let's say PyPI MCP. Now within this PyPI MCP, let's first of all try to add that package in our folder. Okay, let's test the package. I will simply say first test package. If we can just run our own thing, our own MCP server, right? So what I will do, I will literally add that particular MCP package in my virtual environment, and I will say UV add, and what is the package name? Agentic Terminal. Wow, let's hit enter. Boom, I have this particular package. How? Because this is available in the public repository, so that you can also pull it. Wow. So I have this Agentic Terminal. You can also create a new virtual environment just to see how it does it behave. And if I just go to my toml file, this time you will see as a dependency as well, Agentic Terminal greater than equals to 0.1.0. Boom. That's amazing. That's amazing. First of all, okay, that's amazing. So this is perfectly working fine. Let's test it. Let's say I want to import from Agentic Terminal dot tools import MCP, and if I just run it, let's say MCP dot run and transport equals to STDIO. Let's actually see it. Boom. What do you think? What will happen? Let's see. Perfect. Let's boom. Our MCP package is deployed successfully, bro. Deployed successfully. And now let's create a client. Okay, let's create a client. So how we can just create a client, you already know. Let's go here. Not here. Just, I would say third party, because now it is a third party MCP. Yes. So I will simply go here. Test package is done. Let's create a client. Client.py. Let's paste this code, and in this code, what I will do, this time I will just rename it as, let's say, Agentic Terminal. Agentic Terminal and transport equals to STDIO. Yes. This time the command is what? UVX, because it is deployed to UVX. What is the argument? Argument is Agentic Terminal, and that's it. Now anyone can use this particular MCP using this command UVX agentic terminal because it is available in PyPI and your client can be created using this thing. I am also excited to see it, what will happen. So I can literally see the tools. Let's run this file and let's see what will happen. Let me just open it. Let's say clear. Perfect. Let me just run this. So what do I have? Perfect. Wow. Wow. All of the tools are here. Bash, Python code, Python file, globe, grep, read file, write file, whatever. Wow. Wow. Let's talk about a very important concept which is actually being adapted very rapidly in this industry. Because see, everyone knows that we want to work with so many MCP servers. Yes. Yes. But there's still a problem. Really? Yes. And that problem will be solved by MCP Gateway or Hub. Okay, kind of gateway or kind of hub, not exactly gateway or hub. So let's say you are this developer, okay, and you want to work with so many MCP servers, which is such a common thing. Let's say you have this MCP server, okay, let's say this one, okay, and similarly you have so many MCP servers, let's say 1, 2, and let's say 3. Let's say you are working with 3 MCP servers. Tomorrow you will be working with, let's say, 100 MCP servers. You can, right? You can. So what is the solution? How many MCPs you can just attach? How many MCPs you will just keep on attaching? And how many URLs will you be managing? If you, let's say, want to attach an MCP, you will write the URL for that. Yes. If you want to, let's say, remove any MCP for, like, let's say for tomorrow, then you have to touch your code again and again, which is not a good thing. So instead of creating a connection like this, let's say like direct connection, you can actually include a very important thing. What is that? That is called hub. You can create a gateway or hub and you can literally connect to this particular gateway. Wow. Yes. You can connect to this gateway. Okay. Let's use gray color. So this is called, let's say, gateway. And you will be hosting this gateway, obviously. Okay. You can host this gateway. Let's say this is hosted on a URL. Let's say localhost. Because for now we can just host it on localhost, obviously. Let's say this is hosted on localhost 8050. So now what will happen? You can just talk to only this, or you just need to talk to this particular gateway, and that's it. That is it. And it will automatically take care of all of the MCP servers. If you want to add more, you can add more. If you want to reduce, you can just reduce. You can literally perform anything you want. And you do not need to touch any URL in your code. You just need to connect to this particular gateway. And you just need to manage only and only one URL, and that's it. And this way, you can actually connect all of the MCP servers. You can connect, let's say, STDIO MCP servers that you have built. You can connect community MCP servers that you have just pulled. You can even use a third-party service provider MCP servers that you are directly using it from the server. You can just combine all of the MCP servers. You can literally combine all of the MCP servers that you need to just work with. It can be your MCP servers, it can be community based, it can be hybrid approach, because in the real world we just follow the hybrid approach a lot, because we do not want to, let's say, keep on just following only one type of MCP servers. Let's say only my MCP servers, or let's say only your MCP servers. We need to just follow a hybrid approach. Make sense? How can we just do that? It is very simple. We simply need to first of all grab the URL of each MCP server, and we already know that. What is the URL? Just the command that we want. That's it, right? Once we have that particular command, once we have that particular URL, then I can literally mount it. Yes, when you just mount any kind of storage, similarly you can mount your MCP servers with that particular MCP along with your own tools. Let's see it, then only you will understand it. So I am inside my VS Code editor, and let's create our chapter number 5, bro. So chapter number 5, let's say MCP Gateway. Perfect. Now this MCP gateway, let's create our gateway.py. So let's say, first of all, I want to create the server, right? From fast MCP import fast MCP, and I will just create the object. Simple, very good. What? This is fine. MCP equals to fast MCP. Now I know that I can create my own tools if I want to. Make sense? If I just want to, let's say, include my own custom tool into this MCP server, like usually we just add something, let's say mcp.tool, and in this tool I can just create a function. Let's take the code from here that we just created, data fetch and process. Let's say I just want to add these two tools because I want to keep these two tools. These are very handy. Very good. Now along with these tools, I want to mount my MCP tool with the other MCPs that we have in the market. So I will now use something called as mount. Okay, so let's say hashtag mount the tools to the MCP. So I'll simply say mcp.mount, and here I just need to pass some, you can say, commands. First of all, I would simply say, just let's remove it. First of all, I will simply say I need to pass a proxy. Let me just tell you, fast MCP dot proxy dot as proxy. Why do we need to send a kind of, or basically we need to perform this proxy? Because I will be running this particular MCP as a streamable HTTP, right? So whenever we just want to run anything as streamable HTTP, and if we are just using any STDIO based MCP server, then we have to use this proxy. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? And then now I can literally provide the command, the same URL that we were just using. Okay, let's say I just want to use all of the MCP servers, and I can say MCP servers, and I can obviously just keep this thing. What is this big recommendation, bro? Okay, MCP servers. Okay, now within this I can create a dictionary, and now I just need to pass the commands, like basically all of the MCP servers that I just want to create. Let's say I want to use DuckDuckGo search MCP server from the community. So I'll simply say ddg MCP. Okay, just a short name, and then it will ask, okay, I will add this MCP server, but how I need to start it? You already know what is a command. So here you will simply say command. What is a command? Obviously UVX, same URL. Okay, after that, what was the thing? Arguments. What is the argument name? The package name. The package name was ddgs search MCP server. Simple, DuckDuckGo MCP server. I think let me just check the name from the documentation. DuckDuckGo MCP server. Like this is the same name that we were just using. Perfect. Now what will happen? Let me just add one curly brace here. Now what will happen? It will automatically mount all of the tools of this MCP server in my current MCP. Wow. Let's say I want to add one more MCP. Let's say I just want to add the MCP server that I have just hosted. So I'll simply add one more like this. And this time, not MCP servers, wait. So here I can just add one more. Let's say like this. And here I will simply say agentic terminal. Okay, agentic terminal MCP. And here I can say command, and the command is this one, agentic terminal, not this one, because my terminal name is agentic terminal only. Simple. So this way it has added, it has literally mounted all of the you can say MCP servers. Okay, makes sense. But where is this particular thing? Okay, this curly brace was started and it was never closed. Okay, so let me just add it here. Perfect. So this way I can just add more and more MCP servers. Okay, this is one way of it, but the recommended approach would be add MCP servers separately. Yeah, separately. Instead of just adding everything in one go, simply add it separately. It will be a better approach. So this is like first mount, then you can just add second mount. Why? it will be easier to just remove the mount. Are you getting my point? Instead of just changing the code, you can literally remove the mount easily. It will be a better approach. So this is my first mount, and here I can say second mount, and this time I just want to mount agentic terminal and then agentic terminal only. This is my second mount. This way you can just mount more and more number of MCP servers. If I now run it, MCP server transport equals to Streamable HTTP, and host equals to 000, port let's say 8050. Simple. Now if I just run this MCP server, now it will have access to all of the tools. Let's see. Let's try to run this. If I run this file, let's see what do we get. Okay, my MCP server is started. Now I want to use inspector, MCP inspector. So I will simply say npx. So here I can write npx @model context protocol, then /inspector. So it will just start the inspector session in my local host 6274, I guess. Yeah, so this is the one. Now I can simply say connect just to see the tools. If I go to tools, list tools. Okay, now I have so many tools. Wow. I have the tools that I created, fetch process. I have search, fetch content from the DuckDuckGo search, and I have bash, Python code, Python file, all of the tools. And now everything is being managed from this particular URL. This way you can integrate your, you can say, community based MCP servers within your MCP server, just to create a gateway, just to create a kind of hub for all the MCP servers that you want to use. What is the advantage? Let's say tomorrow you do not want to use this mount. You can literally comment it out and that's it. This is like just out of your all of the MCP servers. You do not need to change any code. You do not need to change any URL that you are using in your code, because see, same MCP server can be referred to so many code files. So you cannot just change all of the URL for all of the code files. You have the same URL, but you will change the MCP server within that dynamically. Wow. Now let's talk about how we can just deploy our MCP to Docker. Because now whenever we just deploy anything to URL, or basically a kind of streamable HTTP, yes, we can just deploy our packages to PyPI and all. That is a good thing. But when we just want to, let's say, create something out of our MCP, then obviously we need to have a domain. We need to have, you can say, solution that we can just create. And for that, everyone knows Docker is the best solution, obviously. So how we can just deploy MCP to Docker? And for that, yes, you would need some basic understanding of Docker. Yes, obviously common sense. So you need to have some common understanding with Docker, which is very common thing if you're a developer. Docker plus just Docker. Yeah, Docker. If you want to learn Docker, do not worry at all. I have a very good resource for you. Let me just tell you. So simply say Docker Ansh Lamba. Whatever you want to learn in the AI and data domain, simply write the topic name and just write Ansh Lamba. Hit enter. And here you will find the, I think, Docker full course. Where is my course? Okay, here. Docker tutorial for beginners. So simply go and watch this particular Docker tutorial. It is free on YouTube, full 4+ hours course. This will teach you everything from scratch. And obviously, if you are in the data domain, you need to know Docker, because Docker is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Okay. So just go and learn and just clear your fundamentals, and that's it. And do not worry at all. I will simply create a very simple file. You can even understand it. But go and complete this course, because it is very important for your learning and for your projects that you will be building in your journey. Very important. And obviously you need to use Docker. Okay, so how I can just work with Docker? First of all, I will start my Docker container. I will just click on Docker. I have Docker installed. If you do not have installed, you can install it. Okay, so this is like now it will just turn on my Docker engine. This is a Docker desktop application, and everything is given in the course. If you do not have any knowledge, simply go and learn everything. Okay, nothing to worry. So this is my containers. Perfect. So this is empty, all empty. So now what I will do, I will create a Docker image. How to do that? Let me show you. So let's say now we need to deploy this particular MCP gateway that we have just created. Okay, let's see. So I will simply copy and paste this folder and I will say chapter 6, which is the last chapter of this video course. MCP Docker. Perfect. Now if I just want to go with this particular thing, I would need one more file, which is requirements.txt file. So I will say requirements.txt, because UV doesn't work well with Docker because UV is relatively very new. So we have to just go with the traditional way, pip install and all. Okay, very good. So in this requirements.txt file, I need to put everything that I need for my environment, right? How to get all of the things that I need for this requirement? I think I just need fast MCP because I'm not using anything fancy. I can write fast MCP and that's it. Simple. If you're using anything fancy, put it here and that's it. Now I will create one file called Docker file at the same location where I have this file, requirements.txt file. Good. Very good. And just to be professional, I want to add a folder called, let's say, MCP. Why we do not have any icon for MCP, bro? They should add it in the live. I will simply say app because I like that icon. Let's say I app. So I will put my application inside this. Okay. More professional way of doing it. So now I will say my Docker file. So I will pull the Python image. Basically, what is this thing? Let me just give you some idea. So whatever we just do, so we know that we have built everything. Docker will simply containerize my entire application so that we can just deploy it anywhere, any cloud platform. Simple. Okay, so I'll simply say I want to use Python runtime because I'm just using Python. Then I will say working directory, which is working directory app. Bro, what's wrong with my auto suggestion? I think it is not working fine because they are just doing an upgrade, and very well done. Disturbing our productivity. Very good. So working directory, and you can say app. What is this thing? Working directory. So I have just put the working directory as application because this folder will be created in the Docker for me, working directory. Now whatever command I will write, it will simply go inside the working directory. So first thing first, I need to copy the requirements.txt file from my current directory, which is the this chapter 6. Okay, because I'm just writing my Docker file from here. So I just want to copy requirements.txt file to the current directory of the app. That is why I'm saying dot. Then I want to run this command, run pip install and no cache directory -r requirements.txt file, which is a common command we run. Then I want to say copy dot dot. That means simply copy everything, copy my application as well, and then run this command python gateway.py. Do I have gateway.py file in the current directory? Obviously not. I have app/gateway.py. Remember, because I am just storing my application inside app. So I'll simply say python app/gateway.py. Simple. Now I can simply build an image using this Docker file, and I will just use the command docker build -t, that is tag, and I want to say, let's say MCP gateway. Okay, simple. And I will simply say dot, that is the current directory. That means my Docker file is actually inside this directory. What? My Docker file is not inside this directory. My Docker file is inside this directory, chapter 6. So let me just open an integrated terminal so that I directly jump to chapter 6. Yeah, my Docker file is exactly inside this directory. So just make sure that you are using the right command. Now hit enter. It will start building my image. Very good. So now it is almost done. It takes some time when you just add more and more number of layers, but it's fine. It will hardly take few seconds, and once it is done, then you can simply run the container just to see everything is fine. And exporting layers. Okay, everything looks good so far, so good. Okay, very good. Now I can just run the container. In order to run the container, I will simply say docker run -dp. Let's do the port mapping. 8050 of your machine will be mapped to 8050 of any other machine, like Docker machine 8050, and I want to provide the name, let's say MCP container, and I want to run the image called MCP. What was the name? MCP image. What was the, I think, yeah, MCP image. Let me just check my Docker. What is the image name? MCP Gateway. Okay, as you can see, your image is created. That's why you are able to see it here. Okay, good. So this is my command. I want to just run this. Let's hit enter. So this container is up and running. Let me just check the Docker, which is this one. Perfect. Now if I just go to this particular local host, I should see it running. Wow, no, not found. Are you serious? Not found. Why? Maybe let me just check the logs. Go here. Yeah, it is running. It is running. Fast MCP and then localhost and blah 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 blah. I can confirm. I can literally go to my where's my this thing, MCP Inspector. So now what I can do, I can literally run the MCP Inspector again, and let me just do that. So I will simply go here and let me just close all the previous terminals so that no MCP Inspector is running. Perfect. So here I will say npx @model context protocol, then inspector. Hit enter. So this will start my inspector, localhost on 6277. Now I can just connect. Perfect. List tools. Perfect. I can just see these two tools. Let me just say tools, list tools. Why I'm just seeing two tools? Why I'm seeing just two tools? Wow. What code did we just use? Gateway.py. Okay. Process. Okay. MCP dot mount. Okay. So the issue is very simple. As I just mentioned, that Docker is not very well versed with UV because UV is relatively new. I saw it coming, but I was like, let's take a risk. If we see the error, we will just resolve it. So yes, we saw the errors, but now it's time to resolve it. So now the thing is, if you just closely observe here, we are using UVX command and we do not have UV installed in the Docker because UV is not natively installed with the Python, you can say your images. Python images only has the pip. Okay, now what is the thing? It is very simple. There are some ways how we can just modify this particular thing, because now it's totally up to us how we need to make sure our UV is installed and added in the path or basically environment variable. So let me just show you the Docker file that you can just create. It is very simple, but there are some things. So first of all, we will be just copying one install, like we will be simply installing UV. Where? From the official you can say repository, because Astral created UV. Okay, if you do not know. So we will be simply copying this thing from the Astral. Okay, inside UVX bin, because we need UV as well, we need UVX as well. Bin is for those who are just using you can say Mac and all, because there are like two types of build in Docker. Then same thing, work directory. Then you need to say run UV tool install these servers. So yes, you need to natively install it in the Docker. Then install fast MCP. We are manually typing it here, but you can also say run you can say requirements.txt. It's same thing. Then copy ... Then I have added this path in my Docker because this will be required. Make sense? Then run the gateway. This is a simple thing. Okay, so now this Docker file, I'll be just creating it in front of you, and let me just remove the Docker images. If I have, I can also delete the container and images. I can delete all the images. I was just testing something, okay, with different versions. So finally I was able to do this. So let me just show you, because I just want to show you this kind of situation as well. If you are just using anything with Docker with UV, you can get this error. But now we have this Docker file. Let's rebuild the image. Let's say Docker build MCP gateways. Hit enter. MCP gateways locally. What is, oh, okay, let me first of all build it. I was just directly running it. So let's first of all say build, and let's provide a different name. Let's say MCP image. Okay, so this time this will build it. This will take some time because it would need to install the UV, and then it will add it in our, oh, it just downloaded it very quickly. Very good, nice. Now because I have this image, I can just check in my Docker. MCP image is there, very good. And now I can run the container with the same command, but this time the image name is MCP image. Now let's check our container is running. Yes, it is running. If I now go to my inspector, if I start inspector again. Let's see what do we get. This time we should see all of the tools, and if I say connect, if I go to tools, list tools, let's wait for it to just connect. Okay, perfect. I can see all the tools here now. Finally. So now this Docker file can be imported anywhere. This Docker file. Now you just need to take this Docker file, obviously with this application app and requirements.txt, and you can literally ship this code anywhere you want to deploy. You can literally go to a very popular choice nowadays people have, which is render. Render is you can say solution where you do not need to manage any CI/CD. You can literally provide the Docker file with your code and they will literally run the server for you. So I will simply say render Python. By the way, very good browser. So deploy a Flask application or render whatever. So simply go here. You can just create an account if you just want to, and then you can simply click on sign in, and here you can just you will get, I think, some free credits. If you just want to use that, you can. Okay, because this will give you a domain name and you can just put this thing in your resume if you want to, because when you have the deployable link, when you just can provide that link, it makes actually more sense. You cannot write I built MCP server. Okay, what is the URL? URL is localhost 8050. Wow, you are selected. So just provide a domain, it will make more sense. And if render is providing you some free credits, just use it. Okay, nothing big. So now this MCP masterclass is finally completed. I hope that you learned a lot of things. I hope so. I also learned a lot of things, to be honest, literally. Okay, because whenever we are just building something, we see some errors out of the box and we just resolve it. We simply work more on it, and yeah, that's called tutorials. That's called masterclasses. So I hope you literally loved this MCP masterclass. One thing that I want from you, just write beautiful comments in the comment section, and I hope you will write it. Like the video and subscribe the channel, because that is the most important thing. And yes, I hope you learned a lot of things. Just explore the channel. Channel has amazing videos, tutorials for you. If you just want to learn anything, simply search for that topic and go to that particular just type Ansh Lamba and then just click, just search here, and you will find everything. Okay, trust me. So this is all about this MCP masterclass, and I will see you in the next video coming on the screen right now. Bye bye.